where it stops, no one knows. We're going head into the unknown. Na, 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 na.
Hello, hello. Hold on, my camera's not on. Hi, everybody. Happy Monday, and welcome back to Criminality, or welcome to Criminality if this is your first time here. So we have quite a few things to go over today because I think Cold Truth said it best. It's never a dull Monday in the Delphi case. So let me say hi to everybody and then we can get started on all the things we need to talk about. So what's up, Tony? Hi, Scott. What's up, Keiki? Hi, Unsolved Crimes Uncovered. Hi, Sleuth Intuition. Hi, Wayek. Hi, Kit Kat. Hi, Gail. Hi, Steph Mama. Hi, Ashley. Hi, Missing Unsolved Crimes. My grief. Oh, Tony, it's so bad. 1960. Hi. Hi, Bella. It's so bad. It's so bad. Hi, Rexy. What's up, Teresa? Hi, Ramblin'. Hi, BR. Oh, unsolved. So many unsolved. There's like lots of sleuths, lots of unsolved, and lots of Teresas. That's how we do it. Hi, lady. I was hoping someone would talk about the new docs. I was watching a live stream of P. Diddy. Okay, so I was getting notifications about P. Diddy. I don't know exactly what's happened with that yet, so I'll have to take a look. Hi, Christy. Hi, Kyra. Hi, sweet dude. What's up, Journey Takes a Trip? Hi, Moonlight. Ooh, like a Marauders map. Ooh, I like that. Hi, Carla. What's up, blah? Snappy Dragon. Inspector Gadget. Hi, Fluffy Bunny. Hey, Shaz. Sleuthy Goosey. Hey, Rocky. What's up, Jayo? Hi, Jen. Hi, Unindicted. Hi, Sharon. Hey, Just Deb. Hey, Caitlin. Hi, Diana. Hi, Krista. Mother of Dragons. Cold Truth. I don't know. They don't think I actually said hi, but hello. Something to say. Hi, Hoodis. And Princess Megan Elsa. Where's my other princess? I got a couple princesses that come in. Veronica. I sees through. Ooh. Ew. Really? P. Diddy's treading on R. Kelly territory? Oh, gosh. Oh, ugh. Oh, man. Hi, Artsy Fartsy. Let's see. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Heavy Metal. Hi, Mandy. Hi, AH. Peppermint Tea. Okay, so, let's see. Where did we leave off? So there was a motion that came out from Nick last week, or actually, I think it was like the week before. I don't know, they're all kind of run together now. But during the hearing on Monday, and so I think it was like the next day, the 19th, we did get a response from the defense that I have been meaning to read to you guys for like my last two lives and have not been able to. We're still gonna take a peek at it, but we also have an order for that motion from the judge today. So we'll talk about that. Oh, you know what I need to do first and foremost? If you guys watched the Saturday live, I want to show you guys something that we figured out after the live. So let me bring up the towards the end of Saturday night's live. We were talking about the Dollar General, if you guys remember. And since there's so many locals who were in the chat and they were kind enough to help me out when I got off of the live, I want to show you guys. We talked about this Dollar General. So here's the CVS building that Richard Allen worked at, right? Here's where the Dollar General is now. This is from 2017. So in 2017, there was no Dollar General here. So what I did learn, well, you know what? I should grab those really quick. Let me see if I can grab them. What I did learn was that the Dollar General was actually this CarQuest Auto Parts, this Kane building right here, back before they built this new building. I also learned that this was the original CVS. So this was a CVS, they built a new one, then it was a Dollar General, and then they built a new one, and now it's a car parts place, Kane's Auto Parts. So I'm going to show you guys. So I was like digging around on, why it just pulls up my last thing I always had up. I was digging around on Google Street View to try to confirm this, to see if I could find like an old, so you can see. So if we were looking at this as like on the map, over here where my cursor is would be where the CVS is, and then up here would be where the new Dollar General is. And you can see the auto parts store here. So I got like a little glitch on the Street View and was able to pull up just by backing up just a tiny bit. And the old Dollar General was here. So it would be diagonal from this new CVS. I know the street is really bad. So they are all, I mean, they're all right there. So I want to say, even though, and like I said, I didn't know if there was another one, but what I did know was that this one did not exist in 2017. But this one was a Dollar General in 2017. So I wanted to make sure I clarified that for you guys, and you guys knew what was going on. So CVS, new Dollar General, old Dollar General. And then ironically, there over here is the Family Dollar Dollar Tree. That was not there in 2017, but is there now. So when did new docs drop for this case? I hadn't heard. Oh, goodness. All day. All day. All day. Hi, Marshall. What's up, Shmita? Hi, Bonnie. Okay, yeah, they're all within walking distance. Let me just see. Hey, Lorna. Hi, Teresa. Hey, Nance. Okay, so I just wanted to clarify that we did figure this all out. Thank you to all the locals who helped me and pointed me in the right direction. So is it Judge Diener's wife, Abigail, that is helping McClelland? No. So the attorney that is helping McClelland is, her name is Stacy Diener. I do not know if she's related. I did not dig in to figure out if she was related to Judge Diener in any way, but I can tell you that she's not his wife because her name is Stacy and the wife's name is Abigail. So just an FYI. 1960, thank you very much. Welcome all the new members. That's so nice of you. Thank you, thank you. Hi, ATS. What's up, Lambert? So, okay, just wanted to clear that up before we went any further because I think it was important to make sure that you guys knew that. Okay, so back to the documents. Back to the documents. Let me go, it's not that one. This is, okay, we'll start here. So this, we've read this on another live stream, but let me just say that this is, it's his sister-in-law D? Okay, yeah, I have no idea, no clue. So it's like his brother's wife, maybe. Hey, holy shnikes. And welcome all you guys to the criminalities, I think is what we're going with. I don't know if we figured that out yet. Okay, so we read through this one, but this is essentially when the state was asking for a protective order over the evidence that was gathered while the defense team does all the depositions for the Indiana Department of Corrections, like the guards or the prisoners or anybody that they decide to depose in that situation. So the state was like, hey, we want a protective order over all of this information. The one that I said that we had not gone and read, that I've been talking about reading for the last few days, is this one. So we'll just touch on it, like I said, because we do already have an order from the court on it, but I want to make sure you guys are still up to speed on everything that's going on. Hi, Hybrid. What's up, Kaleida Hope? All right, let me turn that off. I'm making kings. Let's blow this up a little bit. So this was the defendant's response to them asking for their protective order. On March 17th, the state filed a motion to seek a protective order limiting the defense from conducting discovery during forthcoming depositions of DOC employees. 3 DOC employees are currently scheduled to be deposed by the defense on March 22nd in Carroll County. TR 26 authorizes parties to obtain discovery by way of depositions upon oral examination. Defendant Allen's attorneys have made arrangements to depose the DOC employees. Galipo, I always say his name wrong, Galipo, which is the warden, Jones and Robinson, which are the 2 guards that we've discussed multiple times since the September Franks memo and the documents that come out after that, where these were the 2 guards that were seen with the Odin patches. And then when Labrato and Scremin took over, then one of them, after the warden had told them they weren't allowed to wear the patches anymore, one went and got himself a face tattoo of, I think it was Odin's spear. Somebody will correct that in the chat if I'm wrong on my memory. So subpoenas were issued for the scope of discovery unless otherwise limited by order of the court. In accordance with these rules, the scope of discovery is as follows. In general, parties may obtain discovery regarding any matter not privileged which is relevant to the subject matter involved in the pending action, whether it relates to the claim or defense of the party seeking discovery or the claim or defense of any other party, including the existence, description, nature, custody, condition, and location of any books, documents, or tangible things, and the identity of location of persons having knowledge of any discoverable matter. It is not ground for objection that the information sought will be inadmissible at the trial if the information sought appears to be reasonably calculated to lead to the discovery of admissible evidence. This is just essentially straight up just how discovery works, and what they're going to be asking about during these depositions. It authorizes a defendant to conduct discovery regarding matters that may not even be admissible at trial. Therefore, the rules are titled in favor of a liberal fact-finding process. Essentially, here telling everybody that we can ask these questions even if later they're decided that you can't use them in court as any type of evidence. We can still ask the questions. 3 potential deponents have exercised some dominion and control over the detention of Richard Allen while incarcerated at the Westville Correctional Facility. It is believed that this has included, but not limited to, transporting defendant Allen within the grounds of the correctional facility. It also appears to have included contact with defendant Allen in private solitary setting within the confines of the maximum security unit. This was when they were when he was at Westville. This is from, yes, lady, this is from the defense. Hi to everybody who's just popped in. This is from the defense. This is the motion that I have been trying to read to you guys for like a week, and I keep forgetting every time. So even though we have an order on this, I just want you guys to I wanted to read it to you guys anyway, because I wanted you guys to see what the defense plans on doing during these depositions and what they're looking for, because I think it's going to end up being important. So like I said, this was when he was at Westville. This is the warden and 2 of the guards from the Westville facility. It's also true that during defendant Allen's detention at Westville Correctional Facility, at least 2 of the deponents, R. Jones and J. Robinson, have worn patches on their prison uniforms and hence publicly displayed their connection with Norse pagan spiritual religious beliefs. Evidence of the existence of these patches was provided as exhibits in the Franks motion previously filed with this court. One particular sect of the Norse pagan belief system is called Odinism. Now, this is if you guys remember when, you guys probably can't even see this. Why didn't anybody tell me that? You guys probably didn't. I wasn't looking at chat. You're like, we can't see. But both of these guards and the warden submitted affidavits, and one of the guards was adamant to say that he was not an Odinist. He was actually a Norse pagan. So I think this is putting some clarification on, like, hey, here we go. One particular sect of the Norse pagan belief system is called Odinism. The connection of either one or both of the officers to Odinistic practices is undisputed and corroborated by a patch worn by one of the officers which read, "In Odin we trust." Again, this information has been offered up to the court by way of the former Franks filings and exhibits attached thereto. Now, number 7 and number 8 are both like, if you just read the damn Franks memo, you would see these things. It has also been established by the defense throughout this legal proceeding that law enforcement have expended resources investigating a number of individuals potentially involved in the crimes in question. Law enforcement determined that these individuals were engaged in Odinistic practices, the same spiritual occult, which is at the very least indirectly associated with the patches found on the uniforms of Jones and Robinson. The uniqueness of these two connections would make it very unlikely that this is nothing more than a coincidence. The state now wishes to limit defense counsel from pursuing one of its theories of defense through the use of Trial Rule 26C. The state makes a general claim that permitting the defense to conduct discovery regarding the personal beliefs and practices of 3 of the deponents would somehow be oppressive or unduly burdensome on them. This is what McClellan was asking for, was for them to not be able, for the defense to not be able to like dig into the personal lives of these people and not be able to essentially question the way the DOC is run. The state claims its claim is contradicted by its own October 10th filing titled Response to Defendant's Verified Motion for Immediate Transfer of Custody. Attached to said response were 3 separate affidavits. We just talked about that. 3 separate affidavits signed by the prison employees referenced above. The affidavits executed by R. Jones and J. Robinson communicate that they do in fact have connections to Norse pagan spiritual practices. Like the state doesn't want the defense to question them on their the state doesn't want them to the defense to question these people on their beliefs, yet they're the ones who submitted the affidavits. They're the ones who submitted the affidavits about the guards' beliefs in Norse paganism. The extent of those practices is clearly in dispute. The affidavit of Gallipo, and like I said, I never say his name right, so I apologize to him for always screwing it up, but he is the warden, also acknowledges his belief regarding the presence of Odinistic practices at his correctional facility. The state of Indiana has offered this information up in their public pleadings and now desires to limit the defense discovery in this very regard. This is to say that the state is actually seeking to shield the DOC employees from scrutiny regarding their own sworn and publicly filed statements. It is also assumed that both R. Jones and J. Robinson wear these patches on their public uniforms on their way to and from the workplace, more evidence of their public display of their personal beliefs. The defense's ability to question any of the 3 state employees regarding affiliations with Odinism or other similar Norse pagan practices is not only relevant, it is material to Richard Allen's defense. The state has offered up no specific proof or facts that there is any oppression or unduly burdensome circumstance that would justify limiting Richard Allen's discovery practices, just general references to the standard articulated by the rule. To the extent the court desires to protect what the state has already publicly broadcast through its pleadings, Defendant Allen would be willing to agree, by the way of TR 26C, to come to some form of order that would prohibit the future dissemination of the personal practices of either one. So the irony here is the state is actually who put out the personal information about what the people practiced and what they actually believed in, even though it was dropped in the Franks memo. So I mean, I guess you could say, depending on which way you want to go, because you could say that the defense was acknowledging that there was some type of Odinism stuff going on in the prison because of these guards wearing the patches, but it wasn't up about their personal beliefs necessarily until it was clarified in the state's affidavits. What's up, Francis? And hi, everybody who's come in. T, so what's your global ultimate take on anything, everything Odinism? As I've now been looking more into it, my take is that it's definitely something that is out there. I mean, I don't think that denying that it exists is, I don't think that's going to work. I kind of look at it like my comparison, and that's, so you have to take it, that's if it's actually connected to this case. I'm not sold that it's connected as in that the perpetrators are actual Odinists. I'm not there yet. I like I said, I have two working theories. One where I look at everything Richard Allen, and one where I look at anything that the defense is saying and trying to see if I can piece things together. I think to deny that it exists is to like deny that there is Christianity, to deny that there are Mormons. My biggest comparison, and I've tried to use when it comes to if they are involved in this case, and like I said, if they are involved in this case, it's an extremist group. It's a fringe network. It's not like, oh, all the Odinists are, out there trying to do human sacrifices. And I don't think that. And I think that, to say it doesn't exist doesn't even make sense. We have people who comment in our chats, in my comment section, almost every time this comes up, and they're like, not all Odinists are bad. Like, hey, I'm an Odinist. Like, I practice Odinism, or I'm a Norse pagan. I had a lady contact me and tell me about her husband, who is a Norse pagan that doesn't have anything to do with white supremacy. So it was a very interesting take because of his culture, where he was born and where he was raised. So it's like, there's always these extreme things. So that's why I said my biggest comparison is to the Lori and Chad Daybell case. It's like saying that all Mormons think that their children could turn into zombies and have different levels of zombie-isms and can graduate to other ones to the point where they can no longer be saved, and you must rid them of their, the zombie of the body of the child. Now, does anybody in their right mind think that all Mormons believe that? Absolutely not. It's just that doesn't. But do I believe that Lori and Chad Daybell believed that? I absolutely do. So I don't rule things. I'm not going to rule out the possibility of Odinists simply because it seems odd or off the wall, or like, holy crap, does that even happen? Well, let me just say, how many times before Lori and Chad Daybell had we ever heard of a Mormon killing their children because they thought they were taken over by zombies? I mean, that wasn't anything we'd ever heard of. And if we just came on YouTube and we were like, hey, we just think that these guys thought these girls were zombies and they were like level 10s and we had renamed them, whatever, and we did this, like, everybody would look at us like we were fucking crazy. Like, let's be real. Like, nobody would believe that. But that is what actually happened. So I get, like, people are like, no, that's way outside of, the norm and the statistical analysis of things. But everything in this case is, not the level 10s, I know. But everything in this case is a statistical anomaly. So I will not rule it out without, like I said, I really have some core questions that I believe if and when they are answered, I will feel confident in my belief on whether Richard Allen is the right guy or not. That's where I'm kind of at with it. So that's why I literally have two working theories. I look at anything I look at anything that goes with what the prosecution believes is possible, with that Richard Allen is the guy and what he did and how he could have done it and what the timing would be like. And I also look at what the defense is putting forward, and try to piece that together. And is it possible? And how does that work? So, yeah, no religion is exempt from murder. So I definitely get that. That's where I'm kind of at with it. I will not rule it out. I will not act like Odinism does not exist. I mean, I don't know why people would come in here and be like, yes, I'm a Norse pagan and I don't do human sacrifices. And I'm like, no, you're a liar. You don't exist. Like, what? No, I'm not going to do that. That's stupid. Now, do I agree with their religion? I don't know enough about it to agree or disagree with it, but it's not what I practice. That's the bottom line on that. So anyway, so here is, like I said, Nick had submitted this motion the week before last. And then while they were at the hearing last week, this one came out, and then Judge Gull issued the order today. I don't know why this one does not want to go away. It just wants to keep popping up. And she puts in that the court has taken under advisement the state's motion to enter a protective order for evidence gathered from the Indiana Department of Correction that they filed on March 17th, and the defendant's response filed on March 19th, and denies the state's motion. The court, however, prohibits the defense from any dissemination of the personal practices of any deponent. Essentially, she's saying, you ask them whatever the hell you want to ask them, but don't go putting it out in all your motions that they are, that so-and-so Robinson says that, yes, he's a Norse pagan, he's practiced for, 10 years, and this is what he does in his religious beliefs. So, but I mean, she did deny the state's motion. So, I mean, people were like, yay, she denied something from the state. But it makes sense. But she's also putting, like I said, she's putting the caveat on there, like, hey, don't be putting it out there. This is the setup for the next leak. I can feel it. Well, the only thing is their religious beliefs are already there. I mean, they're already out. We already know and we actually know because of the state. But I see what you're saying. Like, don't disseminate this, and all of a sudden, here it is. It's out in the public, and they're like, see the ongoing leaks from the defense. So, up front, I want to say that we're coming very close to trial here. We're, May 13th is around the corner. I mean, it really, really is. We're going to see a lot of back and forth that is very common in hearings. I'll still go over them, but I don't want to give them more, I don't know how to say, more airtime than they're necessarily worth in the scheme of an actual trial. Because, like I said, these like motions for discovery and the missing discovery, those are going to be very, very common going up to trial on what they're looking for, and then what's going to be admissible, and all the status hearings that they should be setting, and the evidentiary hearings that should be getting set, which I haven't seen yet. Right, they need to write in their they need to be able to write what they need to write in their pleadings. Yes, but if they do, then they could file them under. I don't know, seal's the correct word, but as confidential between just them. It's basically about just making sure that they're not just blasting these people's religious beliefs to the public. I don't think it's going to be like, hey, these guys were practicing, Norse pagans. That's already out. All filings matter. So I think that the important thing that we're going to be looking at is what is the type of items that they're looking for, that the defense is asking for, that the prosecutor is asking for, and the responses on both sides of what they actually have. Well, what happens if they're called as witnesses? That's different, because then you're done. Your gag orders and everything else are done. Everything else is done once trial happens. Yeah, they can redact the words. Yeah, Odin, or practices for 10 years or whatever. All their personal stuff. I'd love to go to the trial, but there's no way. Gold doesn't know what clusterfuck she is creating without cameras. I just wish that, like I said, even if she just gave us the audio after something, I would like to go to the trial. But the Delphi court, the Carroll County courthouse is so small, and I don't know what she's gonna do to like regulate the entry of people. I've seen where they just do, people just stand in line and it's first come, first serve. I've seen where they have like a lottery where you enter in saying, hey, I want to be picked, and it's like if you get number 1 through 50, then you're in. I don't know what she's gonna do. And then do I want to go stand in line like in the middle of the night? I don't know about that. I'm a Cali girl. I don't want to be out in, I guess it's May, it'll be more spring. Will you try to go at the beginning? No, I won't try to go at the beginning. I'm going to try to go towards the end, actually. I know which is tougher. But my daughter this is like the other thing that's kind of throwing things into a wrench of trying to go, is my daughter has 2 big competitions, gymnastics competitions, throughout this like time period of the trial. So I don't know. Yes, you do. You can hang out with me and the cool kids. Woo woo. I know, but then like, what if you stand there like the whole night and then you don't get in? It always reminds me of like, oh my God, I don't even know if that guy's still on YouTube. How many of you guys watched like the Johnny Depp trial where they had everybody standing in line And then there was an attorney that was like paid somebody like $2,000 to stand in line for him. And then he got there and the guards outside were like, nope, you weren't in line all night. And he's like, no, but I paid her to hold my spot. And they're like, no, it wasn't Runkle. Larry yes, him. It was Larry the DUI guy. I think that's the right one. That sounds right. Yeah, and so then they wouldn't even let him in. So then he still paid the person like the $2,000, and then she stayed in line the whole night, and neither one of them ended up in the courtroom. I don't know. I foresee something like that happening. Not that I'm paying anybody $2,000 to stand in line, but just like some type of freaking chaos like that, and then it all gets caught on camera. Potentially criminal. Thank you. Goal knows exactly what she's doing. She wants this. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. Lucia, why isn't the Associated Press fighting for cameras in the courtroom like they did for BK? The idea of no camera is making me cray. This is a nightmare. I am surprised that the media coalition has not come together to try to get some type of even still camera like they're doing in the Koberger case and like they did with Letitia Stout, or even audio. But thank you very much for the super chat. So I don't know, maybe the Indiana Media Coalition will get together and say, hey, like, no, but she cannot say no to audio. So here's the thing, and I was actually trying to figure this out over the weekend, and I did not come up with a conclusive answer. So if any of you guys happen to know, the recording or the court hearing is recorded no matter what. It's automatically recorded. So would she be willing to release that on like a daily basis? Even if it's the following day, as much as that would suck, I would so much rather have the ability to listen than to try to piece together 20 people's notes, and figure out what went down. I would so much rather at least be able to do it. $10,000, I'll be first in line to hold your spot. Yeah, at least give us the audio. I know the answer to the recording. Ariel's all, I know the answer. The recording is public record and she cannot prevent providing it, but she can order that it can't be broadcasted. Oh, she can? Yeah, like Ada County sold Lori Vallow's audio. So I think that that's something that we need to look into, is seeing if we can, even if we can just get it after the fact and purchase it. I mean, and if you can, I can guarantee there's going to be some news outlets that are probably going to do that. Is Travis the same Travis that gave up valuable info in Stephen Avery case? I don't know. I don't know anything. I don't know much about like who followed that case. I followed it just kind of a little bit, and I just like to give people a hard time that think he's innocent. But I really don't know. No, it would come out that night, KO, I think. I think they like Nate Eaton would get it that night. Hi, CJ. At some courts, you can get a disc with the hearing on it. It's cheap, too. Absolutely insane to pay $1,000 for paper transcripts. Right. So that's why I was like, should we do like a Suzanne Morphew and bring in the spy pen? It's going to be very hard to cover with just audio, just like Lori. Yeah, but at least it would be better than just the note-taking. That's also like, do we just get like our own stenographer person and send them in? But then would she even let in their equipment? Probably not. Yeah, the case should have some transparency. I just wish that there was something that she would allow. Anything is better than nothing. Okay, so we did this one. Okay, and we went over that she's already ordered and she's already said, hey, just don't release any of this stuff. So we have that. Now we have, okay, let's go back to this one. This has been a little bit of a back and forth. So this is from the 17th also. This is the amended motion to compel and request for sanctions. We've already read this on another live. Why start being transparent now? West Boys was a nightmare. It absolutely was. And then the other problem with the West Boys case was that it was taking place at the same time as Lori Vallow and Letitia Stout, and I was covering all three trials. That was That was rough. She should start her own YouTube channel. I agree. Because even if the picture's not that great, as long as we have, like I said, the ability to hear it on our own and make our own determinations, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, can we put our own person in there? Yeah, she was the advocate to put cameras in the courtroom. Well, she was okay putting cameras in the courtroom for one hearing, so we know it has nothing to do with the case itself. It's just her talk to text transcription all day long. But would she allow any type of equipment in there that you could do something like that, I wonder? Hey, Diamond. Okay. So, beginning of last week, we went over this one, the amended motion to compel and request for sanctions. This, like I said, has been a little bit of back and forth. So the defense put in a motion to compel and request for sanctions. The state responded. Remember, this is what we read through that had a lot of the information about what phone materials were missing, and they wanted more about the geofencing. This is kind of that. So we had the amended motion was when it goes back over to the defense. So they submit this. So this is like the third in this chain. And now today what we ended up with was the state's response, so the fourth in this chain. And so we're going to review that. And we're going to see what they have to say about all of the missing interviews, the geofencing, and whatnot. So this is from today. So we're going to start here. All right, let's see. You guys see this okay? Okay. So this is like I said, state's response to the amended motion. So comes now the state of Indiana by prosecuting attorney Nicholas McClellan and respectfully files its response to the defendant's amended motion to compel and request for sanctions that was filed on March 17th. The state would ask the court to consider the following. 1, in response to paragraph 5A II, which I have it up so we can just verify what it is. So, however, the other report details all videos between April 28th and June 30th were also lost. So that's this one. On January 30th, 2024, the O2D2 Allen Physical Discovery release, signed by Sarah Luxembourg, who is an assistant to Brad Rosie, specifically notified the defense of videos that are missing corresponding audio. Specifically on page 5 in the 6th bullet point, it stated the hard drive labeled Delphi DVR Drive 1 export containing uncatalogued interviews from Franklin Street Investigation Center from 2/25/2017 to 4/7/2017. There is no detectable audio on the original drive from which this duplicate was made. So essentially he's saying, you guys are saying that we didn't give you the audio, but we're telling you that there is no audio. There is no audio to give. We don't have audio either. There's, another glitch in the matrix. This is the same loss described in the Delphi Police Chief Mullen 2-page letter describing the loss of data from inserting Drive 1 into the DVR to extract an interview file, and a DVR malfunction reformatted the drive, thereby appearing to erase all files. However, the belief at the time was that the lost files were interviews from 4/28/2017 to 6/1/2017. Chief Mullen was at the time making an educated guess as to the dates of the lost files, when in fact, Drive 1 was taken to the Indiana State Police for recovery effort. That Drive 1 was in the possession of ISP from approximately June of 2018 until approximate November of 2022 for recovery efforts, and a copy of the original Drive 1 in its current state is described in O2D2 Allen Physical Discovery release. Therefore, it is now known that the video files on Delphi Drive 1 export are interviews from the dates of 2/25/2017 through 4/7/2017 without audio, as audio files were not recovered while the video files were recovered. So let's just break this down a little bit. They thought that it was originally from April till June, and he just guessed at the dates. He wasn't sure which interview, when the interviews were actually missing. He just guessed at them. But now they know the dates were actually 2/25 to 4/7. This is now another DVR that has had some type of malfunction right at the beginning of the case, technically. I mean, if you're looking at the DVR from the Delphi Police Department, that everything was erased. Everything was erased from, what they say, February 13th to February 20th. Oh, Sleuth, of course, absolutely. I was watching your live on the young girl earlier who's still missing. It helps when we can cover different things too and get more awareness to stuff. So I appreciate you doing that. Yeah, this is tough because, I mean, it was bad enough that the interviews were missing. Now they recover these interviews, just the video file, but they don't have any audio. So this just technically changes the dates of what we originally were told. Is it the same machine? I don't think so. But they don't really clarify that. The roofers are here. So if you hear some banging around, nobody's in the dryer, I promise. This is just, I don't know. I don't even know how I feel about this, because this is like Delphi Drive 1 export. Okay. Hi, Deets. It's not a malfunction even if it's not on purpose. They need to know how to operate software and equipment or they use for homicide investigations, right? Hi, MB. Does GOL allow toilet breaks, water breaks, or is it like being in high school detention? Do not speak, move, or breathe in a courtroom. I believe that you can leave the courtroom in between testimony, but if you try to come back in, and somebody else is on the stand testifying, you have to wait for that person's testimony to be over. You cannot come and go from the courtroom while somebody's actually on the stand. And that's typical in a courtroom. You know, even though in the movies, like, we have somebody on the stand and they like bust open the doors and they're like, we're here with like new evidence. In March, the ISP said they were going back over old interviews and tips so they didn't miss anything. I can't even tell you how many times I've heard that they went back over everything. It's so frustrating to me. My roof is important, I know. So they said it'll be done by Wednesday. I'm like, thank gosh. Don't make me have him come in here and say hi. He'll be like, what are you making me do? It's up to the judge whether to allow broadcasting of court hearings, and the judge can change her mind whenever she wants for whatever reason. I hope she does. Bob said nobody could leave for lunch. That's crazy. But other people left for lunch. So I don't know why. So there was something about the seating, or you didn't get your actual seat back, or I don't know. But I mean, other people left for lunch, obviously. I mean, we listened to Frank Meister when he was at lunch. We listened to Truth and Transparency when she was at lunch. We listened to Rick Snay when he was at lunch. I don't know if it would be lunch, but you know, it was supposed to be lunch. So they definitely were able to leave. I left for lunch and got my same seat. Yeah, I don't know what that was. There wasn't much time, but there was a happy gnome across the street. You can leave for lunch, but your seat is available first come first serve. And can you take snacks in there with you? I mean, if you just ate them like at lunch or on breaks. Yeah, Bob did get a little hangry without his lunch. I would too, though. So, and then they were out there really early in the morning, and I don't think they even had breakfast. You couldn't save your seats. Okay. You can't even have water? Well, that's actually probably good because then you don't have to actually pee. So, nope. Wow, not even water. There's a clear glass. She's got her water up there on display and probably like, hey, anybody who's here to testify, you guys want some water? And everybody in the audience is like, I want water. You're 3 hours on your way home, huh? What? It's like detention compared to other courtrooms. She gave Holman a bottle of water. Of course she did. Well, he was probably sweating, though. He probably needed a refill. All right. Then a response. Okay, so let's get back to this. Could have been vodka. So, pass the shots around. Do you want someone choking in the gallery during a trial? No, I just meant, like, could you have, like, you know, anything, like, not during the testimony, because that would just be ridiculous. No. No food and water. I'm surprised no water. They can do 8 to 10 hours of shorthand. I mean, the people who went to the trial and took notes, I'm very, very thankful for. That was a very long day. It wasn't the best acoustics apparently either. So even just trying to get all the info, I appreciate everybody that went. And it was in Allen County, so it was a drive for most people. Okay, so now we're talking about that a response to request, paragraph 5B. 5B is based upon paragraph, okay, the defense requests the court to compel the state to provide a complete report of law enforcement attempts to recover the missing videotaped interviews. So the state provided 2 reports of Steve Mullen, created when he was the Delphi chief of police, regarding the 2 instances of DVR malfunction. That's a couple of typos. He needs a proofreader too. Maybe he has the same proofreader as the defense does. Resulting in lost interview recordings. These reports were included in response to defendant's March 8th, 2023 certified letter. March 8th, 2023. I'm going to go with that's another typo because from my understanding, this is all just coming out in now. In addition, Carroll County prosecutor investigator Steve Mullen testified at length during the hearing on March 18, 2024, explained the efforts made to recover the data, circumstances surrounding the 2 DVR malfunctions, and was subject to cross-examination by the defense. That in response to this pleading, investigator Mullen searched for written communication with Indiana State Police regarding Drive 1 from the second incident of DVR malfunction and found an email from February 23rd of 2018. That specific to this motion to compel, investigator Mullen would testify that the recovery software from China was not able to be purchased through a local agency. Therefore, he contacted the ISP. He contacted Indiana State Police Brian Bunner, and ISP did purchase the software, but it was not successful in recovery of Drive 1. No Indiana State Police report was generated because this was not a forensic examination. When the drive was returned, Mullen was gathering all investigation materials in his capacity as the prosecutor investigator. I mean, this all feels very accurate, but my problem, I think, at the beginning of this, I'm going to go back to, is why didn't they just tell them at the beginning when they arrested him and they were very first turning over discovery that, hey, we already know that this is a disaster. I mean, there's something to the fact that they wait this close to trial to try to say, hey, we don't actually have any of these interviews for this one week, and then we actually don't have any audio for these interviews for like 2 months. What is Carroll County local rule on cell phones? Is it confiscated and destroyed like Allen County is? Well, I'm gonna go with it. It's gonna be whatever she says. Well, I think it was at this point it was all of Indiana state taxpayers paid for the software. So now the ISP owns this Chinese software. So China probably has all the interview audio. Yeah, I agree with you. It's going to be a battle of law enforcement. And I think this is like I know that people are like, they don't like ISP, Mullen and Holman didn't have to tell Todd Click anything, during this whole thing. But why did they act like they were going to and then not? And if he is law enforcement, he wasn't working with the defense. They could have told him. They could have told him exactly what they have and been like, this is what where we're at. This is what the parts that we're still investigating, and this is what we know. I mean, he was part of the investigative team, even if he wasn't part of the unified command. I just think if they actually had all this other stuff, it would have been so easy just to shut this down. And like my problem with the Goldilocks phone is really, if it had anything to do with another crime, why didn't you want it? Or why didn't you collect it and give it to somebody who would have been in charge of investigating that crime? Even if you find that the phone had nothing to do with this case, I question that. Woodhouse jury, shoot, I just hit all kinds of weird buttons. What the heck did I do? Okay, Woodhouse jury trial is scheduled for the same week as RA's, and Diener set Woodhouse at first setting that day, but I'm assuming Gull rescheduled RA for the first setting. His jury trial's the same time? Well, because McClelland is the one that's actually prosecuting Woodhouse. I'd be surprised if it actually happens that way. It brought it through Timo. They're talking about, it's not a little girl's phone, it's his ex. His ex is one of his baby mama's phones. Why were the charges amended just to be withdrawn? Well, I have a couple theories, but we don't actually know. I mean, they could have been like, oh, they won't catch on to the fact that the statute of limitations for kidnapping is over. And so let's try to throw those in there and use it to work a plea deal and scare them a little bit. Or the other option is that Nick McClelland didn't realize that the statute of limitations was up, and he put that in there not knowing, which after the whole 1st, 2nd of December gag order part, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I have no good answer. It's just my theories. If your hard drive goes to shit, you send it to a data recovery center. You don't go do it yourself and buy crap off Temu from China. Hey, chicken operas. I guess I need to go back a week and catch up. I'm completely lost. Oh goodness, it's been a lot. It's been a lot. I have, even just if you go back and listen, if you haven't listened to part 1 and part 2 of the hearing, that should catch you up at least. I think I had 3 lives from last week. One Monday, Tuesday, Saturday. And that should catch you exactly up to where we are. Right. That is true. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if did he not know? Did he not know that there was that the statute of limitations was up? Did he not realize it was covered? That's why I said maybe he did, and he just thought, hey, I'll try to get this in there, and then they'll just think like, hey, we're charging him with all this stuff, and they'll try to work a plea. Because in my honest opinion, I think that that's what he wants. I think McClelland wanted a plea. I think he thought he would get a plea. Pretty sure Baldwin said it at least 10 times. There was no gag order violation. That's Luttrell. Where the hell is he? Apparently he was there. He just didn't talk. He was there, and he just didn't do any. He didn't do anything, any of the cross or anything like that on Monday's hearing. But he was there. So I know I thought the same thing. I'm like, why bring in this lady? Don't you have Luttrell? Where the hell is he? I want to know how they dropped the kidnapping charges. Well, there was nothing they could do. Adding the kidnapping to get a plea doesn't make sense. Yeah, I don't know. That's why I'm like, I honestly don't know. Not DB Cooper. Just did he just not know that the statute of limitations was up then? I mean, Why would he add them? It was done. He couldn't use them. That's a great question, Dr. NBM. Oh, thank you very much for the super chat. They got the software from Temu. That's killing me. One sus had 7 interviews disappear. I want 8, but who am I? Hi, Tony. Hi, Dr. Vanda. The order said no food or drink, but water. Look to see what it said. I don't have it handy on my phone. Oh. Well, those that were there said they couldn't have their water. More like a Wish. More like they ordered it from Wish. I don't know. I mean, if they hadn't ordered it though, then they'd have all that would just be gone. There wouldn't even be those. They wouldn't even have the videos. They wouldn't have video or audio. They'd have nothing. So I don't know. Maybe they do need to employ some lip readers at this point. And speaking of, while we're talking about them, the defense hiring people, and hi Fiend, by the way, is I here too? Hi I, if you're here. The defense team, or I should say not the defense team, David Hennessy, who's technically not the defense team, has organized a, I don't really know what you would call it because it is like a crowdsourcing, but it's not. It's under a site where it is allowed. Number one, and number two, it is for the expert expense fund for Richard Allen. Richard Allen was once employed as a licensed pharmacy technician. He was actually the manager who was also had to be certified as a pharmacy technician, but that's okay. On October 31st, Mr. Allen was arrested for a crime that he maintains he did not commit. Mr. Allen has been accused of committing Abby and Libby's murders, but is investing everything he has to fight for his freedom and for justice for both victims of this heinous crime. He is presumed innocent until proven guilty through a court of law and has an absolute right to a fair trial, which is currently being violated. Funds are being raised to pay expenses related to the expert fees and costs. Donations are not tax deductible. So there is a place where you can donate. I don't know if I don't want to share it on Facebook. Can I copy this? I wonder. Let me put this in here. If that is something that you are interested in, if this one doesn't work, then maybe one of the mods can actually grab one that works, because I don't know if that one will actually work or not. I don't want to share it on Facebook or Twitter. It's like, yeah, I'm glad they've raised so much. I think they did alter the wording a bit, but I'm happy for them. Yeah, so, and I'll actually bring this up because I thought this was funny, because now while we were on this topic, I'll talk about this too. So, Kara, if anybody doesn't know, it does work. Okay, thank you, Shmita. Kara Winicki, who was the one that wrote the original action for the Supreme Court, she writes on Twitter and talks about this fundraiser. It's legal because it's not for his defense team. It doesn't pay his attorneys. It's to pay the experts. So it is, and then there's also certain ones like you cannot use to do anything like that, which I think is like, and please don't quote me on this because I have not researched this to be able to speak on this like fluidly or like fluently. Like GoFundMe you can't use. There's certain things like that you cannot use. So he picked a place where it can be used, and it's not for his defense team. It's for the experts, because as of right now, the judge has denied giving the defense funding for their experts. I am not clear on her reason why she denied them, because we don't have those orders to say this is why. But we do know that in the motions filed by the defense team, they put that she denied them and the reasons why they believe she denied them. So it's kind of confusing. It's not too late for experts because they already have the experts that they're talking to. They paid them out of pocket, and she reimbursed them, but said at this point she will not be giving them any more money. I think that there's also some things that they're going to have to do to continue to request the funds from the court. I don't know if maybe she just didn't approve the way that they were filed, if she doesn't approve of the cost of the experts. We don't have this information simply because, if you remember, this goes back to the whole ex parte filing by the defense, where they put in that they wanted funding for certain people, and that is the filing that Nick McClelland saw that he wasn't supposed to see, and so he puts in his motion that he doesn't want them to have it, and he starts citing things that he wasn't supposed to. Now, so she's denying them having any more expert funds. What's up, Steven? What's up, Copfax? I've looked at clouds from both sides now. So anyway, so when Nikki puts on, she getting lots of questions as to whether the crowdfunding link for Richard Allen is legitimate. Yes, it is. She says, look, you millennials and Gen Zers know how to do these crowdfunding initiatives. We Gen Xers, and let it be said that Hennessy is a boomer. I know. We still talked on phones with cords. We thought the TV remote control was revolutionary. We've tried to keep up with y'all, but it's a grind. Be patient with us. The crowdfunding link looks clunky. The picture of Rick is bad, but it is legitimate. If you want to give, please do. This is completely up to you on your personal, what you choose to do. Thank you for joining Something to Talk About. Let's give them something to talk about. So, like I said, it's a personal thing on whether you choose to do it or not. That's, and it's not something that you have to tell anybody about. It's not something that you have to. I don't know how the donation works on if you can see who donated or not. I'm not aware of all of that. I know that he put up a letter. It says, like, to whom it may concern, the prosecution of Richard Allen has added experts to their witness list. Judge Gold will not approve funds for the defense experts. This creates a one-sided fight and disadvantaged defense. So I did indeed establish a crowdfunding for the defense experts. No money will go to Rick Allen or the defense attorneys, only experts to even things up. Appreciate any and all contributions. This is the link to the only legitimate fundraiser created to help raise funds for the experts. And this is from David Hennessy. So, like I said, that's up to you guys. Just wanted to put it out there and show you guys what it was. Let's go back over here to the document now. I don't know. I don't know if they have. I don't know how much is even left. I have no idea what their debt was like. I have no idea what she's able to do for work at this point in her life. I don't know. So, like I said, this is simply for the defense experts. I think that they're going to end up doing a lot more requests. And I'm surprised that she doesn't give them just a set. I've said this over and over, so I'm probably just repeating myself. But typically, like, they get like a set like amount, like, hey, you have $250 or you have $350, per hour for this type of expert, and your max is $10,000. Like that's kind of what is the like typical. Is like something is set in stone that so the defense lawyers know like what they have going into it. So at this point, essentially what's happening is that the defense team is doing out of pocket. You can donate anonymously. Okay, thank you. That's why I said I don't know anything about that part of it. If it shows up on something, and make sure if you do want to donate anonymously that you make sure you click whatever needs to be clicked, because I will 1000% guarantee you if it is public on that site, it will be on social media, because there are people who are really pissed off about that. Did Nick depot them to find out what they were going to say, or did the defense let Nick know? Because it's weird that they were reimbursed for bringing them in, but not funded to let them say what they know. Well, he better not have depoted them, because he shouldn't have even known who they were. Yeah, we don't even know we have no idea what their financial situation was like or what their debt was. Okay, let me see where we were at. And I don't want to know. I don't want to know their personal finances. That in response to this pleading, I think we did this one. Found the email. Got the guy from. Okay, when the drive was returned, Mullen was gathering all investigation material in his capacity. Yep. Okay, we got there. Upon preparing the copies of the hard drive data for discovery in this case, investigator Mullen made a more thorough examination of drive 1 and documented, as stated above, that hard drive labeled Delphi DVR drive 1 export contains uncatalogued interviews from the Franklin Street Investigation Center 225 to 47. There is no detectable audio on the original drive from which the duplicate was made. These are video-only files. There we go. Hi, Scotty Skulls. Okay, that in response to request paragraph 5C, okay, let's go back over. So based upon paragraph 5A above, the defense would be requesting the court to compel the state of Indiana to provide a listing of all the persons whose interviews were videotaped but lost. But unfortunately, according to the state of Indiana, there is no comprehensive written log that was used to document date, time, subject, and participants for each interview room. The defense seeks supplemental information as to which law enforcement individuals may have interviewed suspects and or witnesses during that time period, and any reports reflecting the occurrence of such interviews and summaries thereof. And this is in regards to these dates. So even though these are not the correct dates, we now know it was February to April versus April to June. So they're asking for the list. So now Nick responds with, in response to the request 5C, if the defense opens the files containing law enforcement reports and runs a keyword search based on the date of the interview, the result should direct them to reports referencing the date for a determination of who participated in interviews on said date. The state has not compiled a list of who was interviewed or which officers conducted the interviews during the dates in question, because without audio, the files are not helpful to the investigation or trial preparation of this case. This loss is not the result of intentional conduct, but rather a malfunction of recording equipment intended to memorialize investigative efforts. Okay, so I'm going to break this down in my thoughts and my opinions of this, because so he's essentially saying, hey, defense team, all you have to do is look it up on your documents and run a keyword search, and you'd be able to figure out who did the interviews. Well, no, because what they're saying is we don't know who you interviewed, so we don't even know who to look for or who might be missing. Now, if you had a list of these are the 10 officers that were conducting the interviews, and we only had 8 of those names, we would know to ask you for the other 2. So I get what Nick is trying to say here, like, hey, just, do a keyword search and you'll figure it out yourself. You don't need me to write it down for you. But they don't know what they don't know. Yes, how do you type a name and you don't know? So not having a list of it is problematic. So the next part here, Nick says, the state has not compiled a list of who was interviewed or which officers conducted the interviews. Why would the state not have that? Do they literally plan on not calling any of those people that were interviewed during that time to the stand? Do they not plan on calling any of the officers that conducted the interviews to the stand? During the dates in question, because without the audio, the files are not helpful. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what the defense is saying, is you guys fucked up twice, and now without that, it's not helpful. So to Nick, it's not helpful to the investigation or trial preparation of this case. Well, yeah, but how do you know it's not helpful to the investigation or trial preparation of the defense team? This is just frustrating to me. I think that they know that they're fucked up. They messed up. Now, here's my other thing. and I just want to ask this, and if anybody is listening that doesn't comment because they're absolutely pro-prosecution and absolutely pro-law enforcement, and they're just like sold on the fact that Richard Allen is guilty, I don't know if you can post anonymously here, but you can't. So, but my question really comes to, if, let's just say in February of 2022, that law enforcement and Doug Carter and Nick McClelland, they stand up and they do a press conference on February 13th of 2022, and they tell you, the world, we don't have these interviews from this week. They're completely gone. We don't have any audio on these 2 months worth of interviews. They're completely gone. And let's say there was no arrest. There was no Richard Allen yet. What would you think about the investigators investigating this case that took them 5.5 years before they even arrested anybody? What would you think if they stood up in the public and told the world, we don't have interviews from the first week of investigation of this double murder? I'm just saying, I think that people would be looking at this situation very, very differently. But now, because they're sold on the fact that it is Richard Allen, it's like, it's no big deal. It doesn't matter. Who cares? But it does matter, because it was gone. How do you know that this wasn't helpful? How do you know there's not something in here that's important? It's gone. It's gone. So that's my question, is if you knew this before there was ever an arrest, would you be pissed off at law enforcement? I'm pro-prosecution, but that is even worse. They even lost the tape of our Allen informal interview by the grocery store. Yep, they don't have that. Yeah, they don't have that. And I know, like, when I say things like this, people are like, oh my gosh, she's so pro-defense, and she thinks that, you know, she's in love with Richard Allen and this, that, and the other. And I have to continuously say, I am not sold on the fact that Richard Allen is not the right guy. What I am mind blown about is how fucked up this investigation was, and how the families are just like, we totally support you. Keep going. We know you got this. I'm just like, if I had known that you deleted all the interviews from the first week of the investigation of my child, I'd fucking lose it. Yeah, I'm pro-constitutional. I don't give two shits about Richard Allen. I don't have any tie to him. I want to be pro-prosecution. I would love it. I just, all these things just constantly, I'm like, okay, I'm going to have faith. I'm going to have faith that we're going on the right track. And if Richard Allen is the guy, how many of these fuck-ups are going to cost that? Cost him being found guilty? Cold truth, yeah, perfect. You're a perfect example, honestly. I'm here. I hear you. I'm pissed. Seems like gross incompetence, but I wonder how common something like this is, and we never hear about it. If it goes to trial, we typically would. And like, for me, with like the Odinism stuff, and it was like, we don't think that the like law enforcement went through and like cleared all those people. Well, no, I don't, because Holman says he doesn't even know who Johnny Messer is. So like, I struggle with those kinds of things. Like, why didn't you go through and just clear them? It would have been so much easier. Yeah, Doolin is still trying to locate the recording from the grocery store that he knows he recorded. And not to mention, there is a crew of people that are really out there suggesting that Doolin isn't even the right one. He's not even the one who interviewed him. They're trying to say that somebody else named Skinner is the one that interviewed him. And by saying that, now you're saying that the prosecution and the law enforcement lied even more. And those are pro-prosecution people. That's where I'm at nonstop, Mom. I know. I got you. I feel you. Crime scene's been compromised. They've lost interviews, failing to implement warrants for phones. The list goes on. I think Sleuthy actually made a list for us too. I am pro. Prove it beyond a reasonable doubt with real evidence, not just because someone says so. Elliot or prosecutors. That's where I'm at. I want to hear, like, The confessions, I think, could be huge. Could be. They're not the ultimate all damning thing. They could be huge. I don't know if they are, because we don't hear them, and we're hearing two very different versions. They say, people say like, oh, he says he was there at that time. Well, not according to the defense, he doesn't. He says he was there from 12 to 1:30. So I want to hear that interview. There's so many things, like once we hear it, we're going to know, because right now, and everybody's like, oh, the defense is playing games and this is their job. Well, hello, the prosecution is playing games and this is their job. This is their jobs. So we have to be able to hear the things for ourselves. And I just don't know. And then she doesn't want to put cameras in there. So we don't even get to hear it then. This is called corruption. Sadly, it happens every day. Even trials don't bring most of it out. I would be curious if they could prove the date that this stuff was actually erased or lost. Donation stats. 80 people donated, a total of 3185. Do they have a backup for the tapes, like a cloud or something? No, all they actually have is the supplemental reports from law enforcement that should be dated, but at this point, we don't even know the dates of those. So it's tough, because depending on how busy they are and what's going on, a lot of the times officers are recording it, either audio or video recording it, so they can go back and write their supplemental reports, or they're like taking handwritten notes so they can go back and put that in their report. And the report doesn't have to always be written right then. It can be written later. We don't know how long later they actually wrote them. So I think that's going to matter too on the supplemental. And according to the defense, they don't even feel like they can trust the supplementals, because they're already hearing and seeing things that are different from, like when Holman talks to the Purdue professor, his supplemental report there, the defense is saying, doesn't match the audio recording. Well, then you have Holman who takes the stand and is like, I didn't sign that deposition because it was inaccurate. But then Hennessy comes back and he's like, well, you had the follow-up, you had your the amendment. Did you sign that? And it's like this back and forth, like tit for tat kind of thing. And ultimately, the public is the one who's left going, we don't have a clue. We don't have a clue which one's what. And this is why I will constantly say it comes down to trust. If you trust the prosecutor and you trust the law enforcement agents, then you're automatically like, okay, Richard Allen's the right guy. This is it. This is how it is. If you don't trust them and you trust the defense, then you're like, I believe what they're saying. I believe that they actually sat down and listened to all these interviews, and they actually care more about getting the truth out there. So I trust them. Yes. Major national media conglomerates need to request cameras, or better yet, a camera like Allen County has. She just needs to start her YouTube channel, Judge Gold's YouTube channel. Okay, so where are we? In response to the request, the loss is not the result of intentional conduct, but rather a malfunction of the recording equipment intended. It seems like they're able to show a chain of communications from at least 2018 with the ISP on the interviews that are missing from February 25th to April 7th. But so far, I have not seen anything that talks about what they did to try to recover that first week that's just gone. And that's the question for me, is like, when did where's it documented that they actually knew that was gone? So Holman was saying he didn't sign the deposition transcript because it wasn't accurate. Oh, that sounds like something a guilty person would say. But then supposedly Hennessy comes back and says, well, there was an amended version. You could have done this, that, and the other. Well, and I didn't hear it for myself, so it's hard to tell you exactly what was said. Okay, so in response to requests to paragraph 6, the information has been provided in the discovery response dated on March 8th, 2024. The testimony of Investigator Mullen at the hearing on March 18th, 2024 And oh shoot, we should go back and look at what number 6 is. Hold on. Number 6, in its March 2028 response, the state, if you guys just popped in or you're not sure what I'm doing, I'm going back and forth. Can you imagine the live chat on this trial? Oh my gosh, I know. That would be really bad. It would be really bad if like there was only one channel that could stream it and we all had to be there together. But if anybody who popped in or confused on what I'm doing, I'm going back to the defense's motion. I'm reading what they're talking about, and then I'm going back to Nick's response. So we're kind of going back and forth between them. So this is the defense in its March 8th, 2024 response. The state of Indiana failed to produce similar reports explaining how the audio is missing on certain videos. The defense would request the court to compel the state of Indiana to issue a report detailing why no audio exists. Okay, so then we'll go back over here. So in response to the request to paragraph 6, the information has been provided in the discovery response dated March 8th, the testimony of investigator Mullen at the hearing on March 18th, and the contents of this response. No further explanation has been reduced to writing. So that's that one. Defense paragraph 7, 8, and 9 are statements rather than requests. So this is back on the defense side now. The defense requested the existence of certain phone dump data from certain phones. In response, the state of Indiana claims that no phone dump evidence exists from Kelsey German's phone, nor Mike or Becky or Cody Patty's phones. And furthermore, that the prosecutor's office does not possess any phone dump data from those phones. However, it is still unknown whether that phone dump evidence did exist at some point, which question is more than fair considering the loss of 70 days of investigative activity as referenced above. It would be hard to believe that law enforcement would not have obtained the phone dump data from the parties identified in this paragraph. They're saying like this is a statement. Well, it kind of is. They're just requesting clarification on did it ever exist, and did you guys accidentally get rid of it, or did you purposely get rid of it? Oh my God, one live stream, but everyone has everyone blocked. I know. That would actually be. I mean, that'd be an interesting day. So these three right here. Nick just says 7, 8, 9 are statements rather than requests. In response to request 10. So because the state of Indiana has lost other important pieces of evidence, the defense would therefore ask this court to compel the state of Indiana to answer as to whether phone dump data ever existed, and if so, what came of it. In response to request 10, phone dump data does exist and it has been provided. So they do have the phone information of Becky Patty, Cody Patty, Mike Patty, and Kelsey German, and Nick is saying the defense does have it too. In response to request 11, all geofencing, let's go back to 11. The defense would compel the court to order the state of Indiana to provide all geofencing data and the names of the actual person or persons that interpreted the geofencing data, including the person or persons that reduced the geofencing data to a map that has been provided to the defense. And so Nick says, in response to request 11, all geofence data in the state's possession has been provided to the defense and is listed in the discovery releases. How do we know it was provided? Well, I guess when the defense stops asking for it, because if now, so like I said, this is like a chain. So we've gone through, this is number 4 in this chain. Now, after Nick puts this together, then the defense will come back and say, hey, you know, in response to Nick McClelland number 7 or number 6, no, we don't have any of it. And if it has been provided, we request the court to compel the prosecutor to tell us where the hell it is. So I mean, this is what I was trying to say at the beginning of this. Like, there's going to be a back and forth on this, pretty consistently up until trial. It's common. It's going to be more important about what the requests are than that the fact that there is requests. I'm just telling you that. It's having all these requests is not uncommon. And having information that was given to the defense that the defense can't find is also not uncommon, because the prosecutor they do not go in there and they're like, here's everything from 2017's investigation, all in order and dated and time stamped and, organized for you, and here you go. They just don't do that. As nice as it would be, and probably how more efficient it would probably be, they don't, because they want to, it's part of the legal gaming of the system of like, we don't want them to just be able to access whatever they want whenever they want. We want them to have to fucking work for it. We want them to have to dig and dig and dig and try to figure out where it is. Why it's that way, I don't know. But I'm telling you, that's just how it goes. Every case has these back and forths. That's why it's more important about what they're going back and forth on. So all geofence data in the state's possession has been provided to the defense and is listed in the discovery releases. The agency responsible for the interpretation of the geofence data is the FBI CAST team, specifically Special Agent Kevin Horan. I was going to look him up because he sounds familiar from another case. And Special Agent Sabrick. I don't know why there's only one name there, but Kevin Horan sounds familiar from another case. CAST is a huge chunk of what's happening in most trials nowadays. Kevin, yeah. What other case is he from? Does anybody happen to know off the top of your head? Because his name sounds, let me look at it real quick. So when the CAST team very first started out, they were just FBI agents that were kind of learning and doing this part-time. And then as it became a bigger part of what the FBI did, they created an entire team. I'm trying to figure out which cases he testified in. Let me see if anybody here has said who he is. Sniper's always on point. The prosecution trying to sidestep the actual science regarding the ballistics. Fired brass compared to unfired is no way the same comparison, especially under high magnification. I get them having to work for it, but there's too much shadiness here to trust the state. I think that's where the defense is falling into. Is he the guy from the Crumbly School shooting? Is he from Murdoch? Oh. I get one. Let me just like see who he's testified for. Molly Tibbetts. He testified in the Molly Tibbetts case. Let me see who else. Not that this actually matters. I just recognize him, and I'm trying to figure out where I recognize it from. All right, I'll look later. It's okay. So it's not as nefarious as Baldwin made it out to be on those key points. Depends on which one. Well, I mean, if they're missing, so that's why I said we're going to find out more when it comes to the back and forth. So now when the defense responds, we're going to see if they actually have any of this stuff. Because if they come back and they're like, no, we don't actually have any of it, you're wrong. We don't know yet. Could be lost in the pile of things and they haven't uncovered it, depending on their organization, or it's actually not there. So we'll have to wait and see. But the geofence stuff, they said they did get geofence information, that they just didn't get as much as they expected they should have from somebody doing a geofence, and they were not given who actually was the one who performed it. So now here Nick is telling them, you do have all the pages, and you do have, and here's your team members. The Christian Rivera murder trial. Spinning chair FBI guy. Is he from the Idaho? Did he work on the Idaho 4 case? Is that where I'm knowing him from? Huh. Jacob Bumpus. He was Murdoch. He was. Okay, so was he also thank you. All right, let me pull that up. What did he also do? Morpheo? Because in my mind, I want to say he's why I know him is from the Morpheo case, even though there wasn't a trial, but at the preliminary. Let me see what Sleuthy sent me. Maybe that's a different one. As I said, this is a total side note. In Murdaugh, they had an expert testify about unspent rounds. I remember him saying he couldn't be sure it was the gun because he hadn't examined every gun in the world. I do remember that. I don't think so. Okay. Maybe it's just from Murdoch then. My phone must be broken. I'm not getting Sleuthy's DMs. The defense should hire him as the expert. Well, they're going to have a geofencing expert for sure. Bahina Rivera. Maybe it's just a name that's in my head then from just following different cases. Okay. And then this Sabrick person, I have no idea who that is. That doesn't even sound familiar. If they can pay, they can't afford him. Well, what they can do is depose him. So I think that's going to be them now having the ability to depose both of those people is more important. That, to the state's knowledge, the above response addresses all inquiries found within defendant's amended motion to compel. Okay. Like I said, we're going to see this go back and forth for a little while. So just hang tight on determining what they have, what they don't have until we get to the final one. He just retired in August of 2022. Yeah, I didn't think he was that old, but I mean, I guess it is what it is. My wife told me, "Are you the only one into this case?" I showed the chat and she said, "Oh, wow. Okay." I said, "See, it's not just me." Yeah, it's just me and you, Scott. I'm just here talking about it, and you're the only one who comes to listen. And I'm like, thanks, Scott, for being the only one who cares. Okay, so now let's go back to the hearing on Monday. And with the contempt hearing, Hennessy had requested the ability to write a post-hearing memo, essentially more like a closing argument on what had transpired. So Judge Gull gave them 1 week to submit a post-hearing memo. And obviously, this was last Monday, so now we're at Monday again, and here is Hennessy's. By next week, we should have the response from Nick McClelland, because then he got an additional week to respond to this, and then she gave herself 30 days to make the determination on the contempt. So we're going to read through. This is Hennessy's post-hearing memorandum. This is on the contempt, remember, because they had a bunch of hearings that day. They went over a bunch of motions that day. This one is on just the contempt. Okay, so as previously argued by the I should probably take a drink first, actually. Okay, so this was my question, I have Apophis. I was wondering, and I've been saying, like, this geofencing is extremely interesting to me, and I don't know enough about it to be able to speak on it like fluently at all. But why is there not a time that his phone is there? Like, they should know when Richard Allen's phone was there. And if Richard Allen's phone is no longer at this area where they geofenced, let's say after 1:30, 2 o'clock, whatever time, it's going to make it very, I mean, you would think that would be just, I don't even know how they would be doing it at all. Is his phone not show up at all? I don't know. And then how does that compare to when this bullet's there? They didn't tell you when his phone was there because they wanted the public to think he left his phone at home. I'm sure they probably do, Kel, only because they collected like 50 phones from his, I was going through the other day, I was like, how many phones did they actually take from his house? They took a ton of phones. They also have the what is it? The I always mess this one up, the MEI, not the IM one, the ME one. They have that number from his interview with Doolin. Hi, Jax. Maybe a burner phone. Well, so this was why I was really interested in that whole burner phone thing. So are they saying that that's what he actually had there? So he's looking at a stock ticker on his burner phone. Do they find the burner phone? I don't know. That's all going to be very interesting to me. And if they have his phone there and his phone actually leaves, no, the other one, MB, the ME one, not the IM one, the other one. So dumb. I actually have that up. I could just probably fucking look at it. The other one. Hold on, I have it in here. This one. The MEID. MEID number. Because he doesn't have an IMEI, but he does have an MEID. Jeez. RA's phone location does not correspond with their narrative, so they left it out. Thank you, everybody. Yes, you guys are all coming in. Thank you. Appreciate it. I never remember that one. I always screw it up. So I think the geofencing is going to be a big deal, either for or against the prosecution. I think it's going to end up being a really big deal. And then if this whole burner phone thing, I don't know what that really means. Back to the Dollar General, exactly, from the other night. I'm trying to confirm, but me, my husband, and my son think that there was one behind the CVS between there and Save a Lot before it moved. Yes, Susan, so at the very beginning of this live, I did show. You are correct. The old Dollar General is over here. The new Dollar General is here. So yes, absolutely, you are 100% right. And a note is now available from lost interviews. All phones now currently have an IMEI, but back in 2017, certain providers had the MEID and certain providers had the IMEI. But now everybody has IMEI. I have too many damn initials. From 12:39 to 5:49, RA's phone might not be there. That's a huge thing for me. Because even according to the defense, his phone should be there from 12 to 1:30. So then is it just no phone there? I don't know. So that's where I'm kind of stuck at. I do believe that the geofencing is going to be, well, I guess it could be a big deal because we don't know exactly what they did with it. I mean, if they only sent over like 3 pages and there wasn't anything, maybe they didn't even finish it. I don't know. So maybe it's not a big deal. But to me, the geofencing would be a huge deal. I mean, that's literally what got Murdoch locked up, was the testimony from the cast team, in my opinion. Reread the state's phone information. It's worded very specifically. Okay, thank you. Oh, for fuck's sake. Your damn notifications. Jiu-Jitsu says it all depends on the area that was geofenced. Do we know the precise size? No, that's why I'm like, to me, it seems like it might be a big deal because of just listening to it. It does. It says it's from, somebody set it up here, 12, I think I have Apophis just said it. Go back to I have Apophis' comment, because it's like 12:38 to 5:47 or something like that. RA had a smartphone looking at stock tickers, wasn't a burner. RL, on the other hand, had his phone on him as well, and I have no doubt that it was at the murder site. Burner phones aren't visible, though, ask Lisk. RA's statement was misfiled. FBI and Delphi investigators never saw it. Richard literally didn't exist. How could they frame RA with a bullet in the first week when they didn't know who he was? I don't believe they would have framed him in the first week with a bullet. And that's not what would have happened. That's not how that would have gone down, if that's even what happened, which not even saying that is what happened. But no, they wouldn't have done it that way. Yeah, I don't think that's the big thing. Like that they went and like took a bullet from Richard Allen's gun and put it there within the first week. No, that's not the way that would have worked. Wait for the autopsy report. That's going to be another problem. Oh, jeez. Okay, so as previously argued by defense, the entire process for pursuing indirect contempt was defective. Should the court reconsider that argument, the defense would offer some additional authority. Acts of an indirect contempt, on the other hand, are those which undermine the activities of the court that fail to satisfy one of the direct contempt requirements. Now, let me see if I have that handy, or if I put it somewhere else. See if that'll load. It doesn't want to load. Okay. So quoting, this is going to be all I'm not going to read through all the cases. You guys want to look them up, you're more than welcome to. Indirect contempt proceedings require appointment of a special judge and an array of due process protections, including notice and an opportunity to be heard. State's Exhibit 1 was the press release from the defense that the prosecution alleged constituted indirect contempt. Mr. Rosie testified as to 3 legitimate purposes of the release. 1, to put an end to the incessant and inordinate requests from the media. 2, respond to the torrent of detailed information disseminated by state actors and family members. See Defense Exhibit T, which identified over 130 press conferences, press releases, or media disseminations. This is from anybody on the state side, the prosecutor, law enforcement, and the family members. And 3, to generate tips to assist with the defense of Mr. Allen, of which there were many that were very useful. It bears repeating that the press release did not violate any existing court order. Mr. McClelland represented to the court that the gag order was issued December 1st, 2022. The court accepted his representation when taking judicial notice until the defense challenged it. Both then conceded it was issued on December 2nd, 2022. It is understandable that Mr. McClelland and Judge Gold may have taken umbrage at the press release due to a prior unrecorded conversation in chambers. However, the contempt power does not lie to soothe the wounded sensibilities of a judge. To the extent the court believes there was a violation of a rule of professional conduct, trial courts do not have jurisdiction to review such as noted in the first memorandum on contempt filed by the defense. Let me see what you guys are saying here. I believe he says he bought it in 2001. I don't know when it was made, though. No, I don't disagree with you there, but that's me. I just kind of, hey, hell, they may even believe the bullet ties to RA, but that doesn't make tool markings good enough to rely on like this. It's not. It's going to come down to the experts, I tell you. Just commenting. So the death certificates are fake. Ivy, are you still here by chance? I don't know if you're still here. I haven't looked at chat for a hot minute. So the death certificates that were put out are not, they're not fake. They're copied incorrectly. And I wonder if there's a way I can quickly show you guys that. The way that they were inputted into like an ancestry database was what was incorrect. But the death certificates themselves aren't fake. If that makes, I don't know how to explain that. Let me see if Ivy's still here. You're welcome. All right. Well, at one point, I'll have to go into it and try to explain why things are uploaded weird into Ancestry, and that's where those documents were pulled from. So the information on there comes across wrong, which is not uncommon. From, if you guys know anything about me, like I love doing Ancestry and genealogy. It's not uncommon the way that these boxes are checked to make it so it reads it wrong. It's just not uncommon. But so I don't know how to explain, like, yes, they're real, but the information was scanned into Ancestry incorrectly. So, FYI. So you could call them fake if you want to. Yes, it automatically populates the form. That's why I'm like, at one point I'll try to go into it, but since we have to read through all this stuff, I don't know if I'll have time. If we have time at the end, then I'll go through it. It's just the way that Ancestry did it. All right. Okay, States Exhibit 2 was the attachment to the accidentally misdirected email to Brandon Woodhouse. It was a thumb drive map, but Mr. McClelland complained that it contained names. It did contain names, but that was necessary to be able to identify what was where on the thumb drive. It was nothing more than a discovery organizational outline. There was nothing in that outline that identified any substance of interviews or conversations with the persons named or any other substance at all. Compared to the leaks of 2 entire probable cause affidavits, which contain details of the investigation, the disclosure... See, this makes me wonder if that's actually accurate. Let me go back to this in a second. The disclosure of the discovery of a bullet and a gun and others, the thumb drive map was insignificant. There was a rumor a long time ago that there was a probable cause affidavit that was submitted to Judge Diener that did not meet the standards, that they did not go through and have probable cause. So Diener made them write another one. This was a rumor a long time ago. Now, I also don't know if this is talking about, you know how we have like the one that's with the regular, it's actually the probable cause affidavit, and then we have the other one that's almost identical to the probable cause affidavit that's in the search warrant affidavit, but it's a little different. I don't know. Okay, so compare these leaks of the 2 entire probable cause affidavits, which contain details of the investigation, the disclosure of the discovery of a bullet and a gun, and others. The thumb drive map was insignificant. Mr. McClelland argued that was a violation of the protective order. First, it was not disseminated. The definition of disseminate is to spread widely. That email was sent to one single person who was an unintended recipient. The evidence showed that Mr. Baldwin contacted Woodhouse within an hour to have him delete it. Second, Mr. Rosie testified concerning an in-chambers conversation where the protective order was intended to prohibit public disclosure through media outlets. His testimony was not contradicted. State's Exhibit 3 was a discovery receipt that was not admitted. State's Exhibit 4, I think this is this the one that McClelland took like 10 minutes to try to find? I'm wondering if that's what that is. Does anybody who was at the hearing remember that? If that's what that one is? I think this is the one that McClelland was like, I sent that to you, and Hennessy's like, you didn't send it to me. I've never seen this. Okay, State's Exhibit 4 was the email string between McClelland, Baldwin, Rosie, and Judge Gold concerning the leaks and ensuing investigation. Mr. Baldwin and Mr. Rosie cooperated fully and without delay. They were open, honest, and complete in their communications to investigators and the court. Just seeing what you guys are saying in chat. State's Exhibit 5 consisted of 5 pictures, which the state alleged were disseminated by Fortson after having received them from Westerman. Sergeant Holman testified that he believed he had seen them at a deposition. Mr. Rosie testified that he reviewed the deposition exhibits and compared them to the 5 photographs rather than rely on memory alone. He then testified without contradiction that 2 of the photos were not created or used by the defense. Thus, those 2 could not have come from Westerman. To the extent they may have come from Fortson, he had many other sources as confirmed by State's Exhibit 6, which was 143 pages of Fortson's communications. 143 pages? I don't remember Cohen and Fortson's being that many. I know it was about 100, so I'm wondering if there's other ones. The remaining 3 photographs were not offensive and would eventually be public. It was not dissemination of damaging information. The evidence disclosed many sources of the photographs that were never investigated. This is all the people who were getting them. Yeah, you can do that, honey. All the people who were getting them, throughout the line, and how he was asking, like, hey, did you guys follow up with this Tyler Carpenter? Did you talk to this Ruckus guy? Did you ask any of these other people? Hold on one second, you guys. Okay, sorry, my daughter needed me. I grin for me, just got here, gonna have to rewind. Hashtag feed Bob, always. We don't want Bob angry. Julio Swap says, any gun folks in chat know how boilerplate his gun is, machine versus handmade, etc. Unspent bullet, tool mark, testimony will be more prejudicial than probative, but no chance Skull agrees. No. He's funny when he's angry. Okay. So that the remaining 3 photographs were not offensive and would eventually be public. It was not dissemination of damaging information. The evidence disclosed many sources of the photographs that were never investigated. The most egregious leak was the detailed probable cause affidavit to search Logan's property. Sergeant Holman testified he asked Barbara McDonald, where she got, and she said from Logan. However, he also testified the search warrant affidavit is never left with the person, just a copy of the search warrant. Thus, Barbara's statement had to be false. That affidavit also had murder sheet overlaid on every page. This just cracks me up right here. Sergeant Holman never asked the murder sheet people about it and never did any further investigation as to the source. I do believe that Ron was handing out his information once he was no longer a suspect. So he was arrested. So Ron Logan was arrested, and he had his attorney for those charges. Now, he was also being looked at, obviously, as a suspect in the Abby and Libby case. He had a different attorney for that case, and his name was Andrew Akey. Andrew Akey was actually a partner with Brad Rosie. When he was no longer considered a suspect, or I wouldn't even say cleared, but once his attorney could give him that paperwork, his attorney could give him these things or copies of these things, and then Ron Logan could have and potentially did disseminate his own information. Now, did he? I don't know. I was not there. But I'm just saying that this doesn't automatically make Barbara a liar. Now, for one, I'm never in agreement with putting your watermark over documents unless you had to pay for them, because then you have to own them, right? Like the only time that you would, if it's just a regular old public document, if you look back on my channel, you would see this. Like, so I bought the Gannon Stauch file and I watermarked it because I had to pay for it, right? Now, the Chad Dorman case, that was all free to us. So none of that's watermarked. It's free. Like, I don't own it. I didn't buy it. I didn't put any money into it. That's my personal opinion on what should be watermarked. Now, I also know that there are people who believe if you didn't create it, if you didn't take the photo, if you don't own the photo, then you shouldn't watermark it. So, you know, I thought that was very interesting because they did that over every page of the Keegan Klein stuff too. And they didn't own that either. Well, unless they did pay for it, maybe they did. And we just, you know, but they say that was the glitch in the, you know, that was another glitch in the matrix that just happened to come out. So anyway, that's my theory on watermarking stuff, but you know, everybody has their own. And Murder Sheet likes to watermark everything. Okay, so State's Exhibit 6 was 143 pages of Fortson's communications. The state had previously provided undersigned counsel 145 pages. At no time did they disclose what pages were removed or why. Okay, hold on. Exhibit 6 was 143 pages of Fortson's communications. Interesting. So there's 2 pages that were not put into the exhibit, and nobody knows why or which pages they were. Jesus criminy. Yeah, I'm a watermark it if I pay for it. That's about the only time I'm going to watermark it. Okay, so I wonder why. Not once did Fortson identify Westerman as his source. This actually goes to with what Mark Cohen had said originally, was that Fortson would always refer to the person he was talking to like as my guy. Like, my guy says this or my guy said that. He never actually said Westerman's name, because he said when he was talking to Frank too that when he did talk with Holman, they really wanted the information about Westerman and what he knew about Westerman, which he didn't know really anything because he didn't know his name. So I think what they're also trying to do here is set it up where, like, did Westerman even ever take this? Did Westerman take these photos? I mean, he admitted to taking the photos, but was this other information actually coming from Westerman? I don't know. Like, this is semantics at this point. Not once did he describe any direct contact with Andrew Baldwin. So they're talking about Fortson. Fortson never says he actually talked to Andrew Baldwin. Not in person, not by phone, or any messaging application. See the appendix, which we're going to. The state argued that Fortson saying he was going to Franklin somehow connected Fortson to Baldwin because his office was in Franklin. That is an unsupported leap in logic. Like, that's the only thing he could do in Franklin, apparently. There was no evidence that Fortson actually went to Franklin. And then there was no mention of Andrew Baldwin regarding his trip to Franklin. Okay, like, hey, I went and met with Andy in Franklin. The state ignored Westerman's ties to Franklin, which would be that Westerman's girlfriend was there. And we know that Westerman and Fortson had been friends for a long time. So I think what the defense is implying here is, like, if Fortson even went to Franklin, he could have just gone to see Westerman, who was there visiting his girlfriend. Throughout the 143 pages admitted, there were only 4 references to Andy. The first was that they may have Messer's phone. This is the Goldilocks phone. She tried to give it to Holman, but he ghosted her, so she gave it to Andy. No source was identified for that information, and it was not attributed to Andy. So they're just saying that he doesn't say, hey, Andy told me that they got Messer's phone, something like that. The second was that Andy had audio of Professor Turco's statement. The third was that the judge was setting a suppression hearing, but Andy is seeking clarity. Okay, those three references did not identify the source of the information and was not attributed to Andy, like no direct communication. The last was that he's going to be with Andy tonight. There is no identification of who he is or what they might be meeting about. There was no evidence of any meeting. Again, he did not identify any source for his alleged information. State's Exhibit 7 was Andrew Baldwin's email to Judge Gohl copying all the other attorneys. He began by saying, "We want the leaker caught." He relayed what he knew as of October 9th, 2023, regarding the photographs and other leaks. He ended with a suggestion that the FBI should investigate. If he had knowingly, intentionally, or willfully participated in any dissemination of any photographs, he would never have suggested the FBI investigate. That's a good point. Yeah, sweet dude. Yeah, this is. I keep going back with this whole like what photos are actually the right photos. State's Exhibit 8 is Mr. Rosie's letter to Judge Gohl consisting of 7 pages. He disclosed all that he knew about the quote-unquote leak and reported other more sensitive and damaging leaks for the court's consideration. State's Exhibit 9 is Mr. Westerman's affidavit, which clearly establishes that what he did was not known by Mr. Baldwin and that Mr. Baldwin did not participate. He admitted that what he did was without any authorization whatsoever. State's Exhibit 10 consists of 20 pages of back and forth messages between Mr. Baldwin and an unidentified person. The state alleged that person was Mr. Westerman. That exhibit was admitted over objection because it contained Mr. Baldwin's mental impressions and work product and failed to identify the other participant. Okay, so if you guys remember, McClelland was trying to get, I shouldn't say McClelland, the investigators, Holman or Rector, were trying to get access to Westerman's phone, and they were unable to, and they said it's going to take like 2 years to get into his phone. But while going through the other electronics, they found that he had an iCloud account, and they downloaded his iCloud. Now, the iCloud consisted of screenshots from Andrew Baldwin, or believed to be from Andrew Baldwin. So they're screenshots of text messages. So like if I have a conversation with you, my King of Kings, and I screenshot it because I want to share that conversation with Sweet Dude, then now all those screenshots are in my iCloud. Also, if I mean, they'd have to go back and show that I'm the one who took them, and you didn't have a conversation with Andrew Baldwin and screenshot it and send it to me, and now it's in my iCloud because that's where I saved it to. I don't know how they're proving that, but and this was admitted over objection because Mr. McClelland read that exchange with advanced knowledge that it was communications regarding consultation on the case. He never should have read it. He absolutely should not have read it because he's not even the prosecutor on the Westerman case. He's nothing to do with the Westerman case. He should not have been looking at that evidence. But I don't know what's going to happen with that. I don't know if Baldwin and Rosie are going to try to file some type of, complaint against him. Hello, Shibby is trustworthy. Thanks. In any other case, this would be clear a no contempt situation, but I cannot trust law will be followed in this case. Right. Okay, so Mr. Rosie testified about an in-chambers meeting between Judge Gohl, Brad Rosie, Andrew Baldwin, Nick McClelland, and perhaps one other prosecutor involved in the case early on. Mr. Rosie testified that during that meeting, Judge Gohl clarified that the parties could share information and brainstorm with anyone, that the intention of the gag order was only to prevent the parties from holding press conferences, sending out future press releases, and conducting interviews with the media. That testimony was uncontracted. The defense tried to call Mr. McClelland as a witness, but the court would not allow it. He had the opportunity to cross-examine Mr. Rosie regarding about the conversation, but did not. The court cannot rely upon its own memory without being a witness, which would relate back to the defense's request for recusal. Mr. Baldwin, so in her, this is essentially saying while she's determining whether Mr. Rosie was being honest or whether that conversation actually took place or not, she can't actually determine that based on her own memory of the situation, because that makes her a witness to the situation. Yeah, the pretrial fight is so exhausting. What will the trial? The trial, I believe, will actually be a lot smoother. I mean, I shouldn't say smoother as in their personalities will probably collide in the courtroom, but they'll have more of a flow. Mr. Baldwin's communications with Westerman and sharing of his Frank's memorandum with him and others for critique is exactly what was contemplated. The prosecution's allegation that Mr. Baldwin's discussions with Westerman violated the gag order is unfounded and not supported by the evidence. Cold truth, you and me both, I am still very confused on that. I don't know, because there were people talking about it in January of 2023 that photos of the bodies were going to be coming out. Additionally, Sergeant Holman and Mr. Mullen testified that they were aware that Mr. McClelland was exchanging information. Okay, hold on here. Additionally, Sergeant Holman and Mr. Mullen testified that they were aware that Mr. McClelland was exchanging information with Gary Boudet. The most prodigious leaker of all. That's Fig Solves, FYI. The Holman and Mullins testified. Okay, anybody who was there that's still here in the chat, why do I not have that? I don't think I have that in any notes that I received. Yeah, Lieutenant Holman. That's Lieutenant Holman to you. Anybody who was in the courtroom that's still here in chat, can you guys clarify? Or Sleuthy, if you're still here, do you remember that in any of the notes that we went over? It's true. Locals have said that they saw photos immediately after the crime. Sniper, if you would come on and go over the bullet stuff, I would be very happy. I would love that. Can you send me an email and we can set that up? I love your knowledge, and you know I count on it so much. Fiend. And I'd much rather you come on than me try to explain what you're saying, because it's going to be you just having to explain to me in chat still what the hell I'm talking about, because you know me and guns and bullets. Fiend. So saying that Sergeant Holman and Mr. Mullen testified that they were aware that Mr. McClelland was exchanging information with Gary Boudet. Did Mr. Mullen or Lieutenant Holman ever actually say that they were aware of that? Hi, Humanimal. Was it in their depositions? Ooh, maybe. Hey, Sarah. I cannot clarify, but I cannot contradict this. I'm very curious about this. There was also talk about family members selling info, and JH received photos leaked mid-2022. Mama Libra says, yes, they were aware. None of the allegations made by Hennessy were ever denied. Oh. Mullins was asked about it on the stand. And what did he say? All right. Yeah, this is curious to me. Must be so proud. The court would not allow evidence of the substance of those communications. It therefore is not known what information Mr. McClelland disclosed. It would have been relevant and probative as to whether Mr. Baldwin's discussions with Mr. Westerman were prohibited by any rule or order or were inappropriate in any manner. That's tough, because would Gary Boudet be considered just some civilian that he's talking to, or would he be considered a journalist because he's a YouTuber? I mean, I guess according to Goal, he wouldn't be, because she said none of us are, but I don't know. Mullen said, I'll answer honestly. Tell me where I am. I don't know. That's weird to me. Yeah, where's Gambies? Gambies, come back. He said he was in fact aware of the communication between Nick and Gary. Holy crap. Was there actually an exchange of information though? Because like I've said, it's not about whether Fig was giving information to McClelland. He's absolutely allowed to do that. It's about McClelland giving information to Fig. That's the important part here. Okay, all allegations levied against the state were determined to be not relevant to the matter at hand because the contempt was against the defendants. I mean, that makes sense. But they were not denied. That would be the media, though. No, plus if NM was hearing info with Fig and then Fig was sharing that info publicly, that is a violation, correct. Well, also, I mean, there's also a difference here on certain aspects of what was shared, because the claim is like that McClelland gave Fig Solves like the probable cause affidavit before it was public. It was, and that's the claim. Well, the probable cause affidavit at the time, if you remember, it was sealed. Remember, there was the whole thing after Richard Allen was arrested that they decided to seal the probable cause affidavit. So it wouldn't go against the gag order necessarily. It would go against the court sealing that actual probable cause affidavit. Yeah. The extent of the information. Okay. According to the law, because we are valid news form, we are considered media. That's my thought. Put out misinformation on the bullet. On our channel about some who passed that may have had images. Okay. Okay. Well, this is a curious one. It therefore is not known what information Mr. McClelland disclosed. It would have been relevant and probative as to whether Mr. Baldwin's discussions with Mr. Westerman were prohibited by any rule or order or were inappropriate in any manner. If Mr. Baldwin is to be held in contempt, Mr. McClelland should face scrutiny as well. Attorneys with combined criminal defense experience of 120 years testified, that's a lot, testified that they would routinely consult with both lawyers and non-lawyers about the evidence in a case during trial preparation. They all said it was crucial to trial preparation and explained why. Those lawyers testified as to sending and receiving misdirected emails. They would address those mistakes exactly how Mr. Baldwin did. They also testified contrary to Mr. McClelland's argument that Mr. Baldwin should have reported to him and the court. They would not cross their minds to report such events to a prosecutor or a judge. Notably, there was no evidence of any obligation for Mr. Baldwin to report the accidentally misdirected email to the prosecution or judge. Furthermore, he had taken immediate corrective action and reasonably believed it had been resolved. Each of those lawyers testified it was standard practice for criminal defense attorneys and their regular practice to establish a separate area in their offices to spread out the discovery and anticipated evidence for trial preparation. They had never thought to secure the area because they never expected a betrayal like Mr. Baldwin suffered. No one expects to be betrayed. 8 additional experienced criminal defense attorneys echoed the testifying lawyers with affidavits that were also not admitted. The court declined to hear testimony and admit documents of much more detailed, serious, and damaging leaks. It has been preserved in the record. Those leaks were purposeful and willful. The defense renews its plea for the court to consider such evidence when contemplating whether Mr. Rosie or Mr. Baldwin knowingly, intelligently, or willfully committed indirect contempt beyond a reasonable doubt. The Indiana Supreme Court appropriate standard in an indirect contempt proceeding is beyond a reasonable doubt. The court applied the beyond a reasonable doubt standard in that case. Okay, so this is his summary, and then we'll have to see what Nick has to say, because he has now another week to respond. Oh, goodness gracious. Take a drink before we go here. I would think Hennessy could argue the legal concept of unclean hands. Yeah, it's been presented on the record, so yeah. Which, I mean, at that point, that's all you can do. She's not going to let you have it in as evidence. What are you going to do? You just got to make sure that you get it in there on the record. So if she finds the defense in contempt, I think NM should brace for his own hearing just in case. After this hearing, I'm actually going to be really surprised if she's really surprised. I shouldn't say that. I want to say I'd be surprised. But, you know, I don't know. Nothing she does really surprises me. But I think they put on a very good case about the fact that there was no willing behind it. There was no intentionality behind it. Let me see. Okay. Fig debunked the F tree because Nick said it wasn't an F. So Fig said the image was a fake. That's how dumb and closed-minded Fig is. Well, let me ask a question. Ooh, here. Hi, Yellow Jacket T. I'm playing catch-up. Horn testified in over 100 cases, including Molly Tibbetts. I found the Molly Tibbetts one. I know you're probably not even up to where I am yet, but thank you. His name was so familiar to me. So here's a question. In one of Fig's videos, he tries to debunk the F tree, and he states that somebody was messing around with the coloring before they posted it. And of course he took everything down, so I mean, it is what it is. Can't go back and verify it unless somebody downloaded it. But so I'm not going to be able to quote it completely correctly. But he states something like, this is the real one. Like, you can see that the one that was posted on Facebook is not the real one, right? Like, it's been color manipulated. Now, why would somebody go and color manipulate it, right? Well, then where did the other one come from? Where did Fig get that one? If that one's been color manipulated and that's the only one that was posted, where did the other one come from? That's my question. Well, I would disagree with that score, Digital, but that's just me. I hope so. I hope they did. I mean, if you didn't have anything bad on there, why take it all down? But either way. Okay. So this is the appendix that Hennessy added to his post-hearing memo. And this is tough because I think this is going to cause some problems out on the social media streets, to be honest. This is over 100 pages of communications between Mark Robert Cohen and Robert Kyle Fortson. That makes sense. Now, if you took a chat that you had with somebody you were friends with and you guys are talking about the case and you're talking about different people or people that you might think of, or what do you think of this person, or do you remember something about that person? this isn't one-sided here. That's why I'm like, you have to take the conversation as it being a conversation between two people. So I don't want people to go out and be like, oh my gosh, this was totally part of this leak and this is completely accurate information. This is just an exchange between two people that were talking about the case. Some of it was obviously relevant to what is considered being leaked, potentially from Westerman. But like I said, you have to take it for, it's a conversation between two people that are chatting about a case. This doesn't hold any weight to it being accurate information from the actual discovery. And I'm very concerned that people are going to be like, this is uber important and it must be valid. Does that make sense? So, and the other thing they don't put in here is who is saying what. My info is on that, is it? I didn't see that. I haven't read all these though. The Saturday night chats. Yeah, it's kind of off the chain. So what was Westerman's? We obviously don't know that. If you want my thoughts, my opinion is from just kind of following, this is why I say like this whole case is, I've tried to like separate it into like 3 different types of categories. And this has to do with just like the leak of information. So we're going to go back to that and not necessarily what actually has to do with the case. I believe that Robert Kyle Fortson was of the opinion that Richard Allen is guilty. And I believe that Mitch Westerman was probably of the opinion that that he was more innocent, or leaned more towards an acquittal. Now, and like I said, this is all just my thought process, so you have to take it for what you want. Let's say if Baldwin is talking to Westerman, well, that shouldn't be if, because he's talking about like the Franks memo and so on and so forth. And if the Westerman, who is like, this known strategist or whatever they called him, decides like, hey, my buddy of however many years thinks that he's guilty, then I should like ask him. So does Westerman share the photos to Fortson in the like, hey, I'm going to prove to him, like I want to prove to him that I'm right and he's wrong, like how we kind of do with each other a little bit. I don't know if my thought process on the whole leak, as I do not believe there's a mass email. I do not believe that I don't believe there's some 50 people on an email that ever got it. I believe that Westerman took the photos, gave them to Fortson, and Fortson sent them to at least 2 people. Those 2 people each sent them to one other person, and we know that person then sends them out to other people. I think that it was the case of one friend screwed over the other friend, the next friend screwed over that friend, the next friend screwed over that friend. And it was a process of, I have to show somebody, I have to be able to talk to somebody about it. And I'm going to pick my one friend that I feel like I can trust, and I'm going to tell him. That's my thought. Right. Westerman knew Richard Allen was innocent because Baldwin knows Richard Allen is innocent. But I think, yeah, and just looking, when we went through and read like all of Fortson's like Reddit comments, it seems that he thought that he was guilty. I want to know MRC's motives more than anyone's. How did he even know Brandon Woodhouse had that email, and the way he seems to manipulate on the screenshots I've seen? I have questions. Well, I think that everybody found out about Brandon Woodhouse having that email because Brandon Woodhouse did a live saying he had it. And so then people got curious and wanted to figure out what was going on. Just spell. It seems towards the end he became conflicted. You think like with Fortson? I think he was probably like, oh, shit, like what did I do? And I think he thought he was probably going to get in trouble. And I mean, that's all just my thought process. It's so hard. On Newsday, January 8th, titled Idaho. Ooh, thank you. I'll look at that. Yeah, I just think that I think a lot of people, when they get into true crime, there's this thing about like having, like, I know things that you don't know. I have these sources you don't have. You know, like it's weird that as adults we end up like that, but I think there's something to it. It's like, I know this, but I can't tell you where I know it from. I found this out, but I can't tell you how. So that's just my theory on it, and how, I mean, from looking into it, that's what I think happened. I think that he showed him to Fortson to be like, hey, and then Fortson was like, ooh, I'm going to share him with, the people I think are, my people, that I talk to consistently. And then it just went from there. And I think that's why there is no mass leak. I think that's how it ended up being more contained. I know that another YouTuber said that they found it in the Unraveling Discord from somebody who's in the Unraveling Discord. I can 100% tell you those photos have not been in there. I mean, that's probably the one that I'm the most active in, because I had to try to figure out how to use Discord at all. But they're not in there. So I don't know where that came from. Just FYI. And yeah, I think it was just dominoes. It was like one person, and then that one person's like, ooh, I'm going to share it with my 3 people. And then those 3 people are like, I'm going to share it with my 2 people, and so on. And it's like, it's tough because you have something like that, you want to be able to talk to somebody about it. You know what I mean? I get that, because like, I think we all have like our person or our people that we found in these cases that we want to share all the things with. And if that person screws you over, I mean, what do you do? It's like Hennessy was saying about Westerman to Baldwin. Like, you don't expect to be betrayed. Like, that's not something you're expecting to happen. I think after years of being in true crime on social media, we become more accepting of that's what's going to happen. That's because we're, our thoughts are a little more, we're tainted by our past on social media. Yeah. Our families are like, and my husband's like, are you serious? You're talking about that case again? Oh yeah. Eric Williams is an Odin. Yes, he is. Mm-hmm. It's because you need someone to talk to about it. So that's how I think it happened. I was very adamant in trying to uncover this quote unquote mass leak. And I don't, there's never been like this mass email craziness. I've never found anybody who has ever come forward and said, I was part of an email that was sent to 55 other people or whatever. I've never seen it. Just remember that it has been stated that Fortson's sister is so it's not Fortson's sister, it's Fortson's sister-in-law. And she was actually in the Delphi Facebook groups back at the beginning. I think that they became friendly through the groups. That's my opinion. So once again, like the crew of people who were very supportive of the families and got to know this. So I'm going to backtrack here for a hot second. When I was covering the Watts case, when I was on the other channel that I was with, I got very close to the Watts family. And I was personal, Facebook friends with Jamie Watts. And then when newer people came into the case, they were like looking at Jamie Watts's Facebook, and they saw like that I was friends with her. And they're like, oh my gosh, like she's, quote unquote, personal friends with her. And I'll just say, I didn't know Jamie before the crimes. I didn't even know Jamie for a year after the crimes. It came later. So, but people looking back on it just automatically think that. So I know just from my own experience that you do. Sometimes you just end up kind of being friendly with the people, good or bad. So I don't think it's like a, we hang out on the weekends and have barbecues kind of friendship. It's a social media friendship, like how most of us come together. Freaking Watts Island. Yeah, I don't even want to go back. I know. You guys like Watts Island? My friend ATS News does amazing coverage on the Watts case. Please check her out. Brandon Woodhouse also said he has a thumb drive stashed for his safety with someone. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. You seeing this, and what have I been saying? And I say, show what I say, look here, and why yet appendix don't give those bullet points needed, and why look there. Yeah, I don't know. Brandon Woodhouse is, man, he could have been very different. You're very welcome. Yeah, social media friendships. I mean, and we have them. I mean, some of my dearest friends, my husband's like, that you're like, you don't hang out with these people. And I'm like, but you don't understand. Like, I actually, I spend so much time with you guys. Like, you guys, that's how it is. You guys become my friends. Don't go back down that rabbit hole again. Okay, so let's get to this. I really, really wanted to preface this by saying this is a conversation between two people. Not all of this is like factual leakage from discovery files. So don't take all of this info and go, oh my gosh, I need to figure out who all of this is and how they're connected. Because it's also, that's like, if you looked at my Prezi and you were like, oh my gosh, now I have to know who all of these people are, it would probably be kind of a waste of time because most of those people aren't even relevant anymore. And it's like, hey, I thought about this person. And I tell you guys all the time, like, my first POIs were Tobe Lesenby and Brad Weber. Now, are they connected at all? Like, does that, like, so if you have a conversation with me and I tell you that and it ends up in something like this, so I just want you to kind of take it. It has a lot to do with just the context of what their conversations are. And now this is somebody picking out the bits and pieces. So just please don't run with it like it's a huge revelation. If that makes sense. Let me see. I don't have any friends besides y'all. True story. I've lived in West Virginia for almost 2 years. I have not one single friend, just my true crime besties. Well, I feel like, what? It's like you guys kind of get my brain more than people. Like, if I went out to dinner with somebody, like, what would I talk to them about? And would they ever want to go out to dinner with me again? So it's like you guys get me. You guys get me. Okay, so we're going to go through some of this. Like I said, it's conversation. So one is blood at the base of the tree to right. I don't have that pick, but I would assume so. Okay, references to blood at the Webers. This has been a rumor for I don't even know how many years. That EOA channel, I have a Apophis channel, has some real potential cult victims in his comments. Mentions Robert Lindsay. We know Robert Lindsay has the blog. If want more Odin stuff, like check out like Gabe Ellis, Eric Williams, Dustin Prater, and Tyler French. Is that the Kokomo crew or people connected to Odin suspects? Prater can be connected to Westfall. This is conversations between them because if you remember, and one of them ends up mentioning here, Norok from Reddit, I believe it was Norok, sigh. Norok from, I think it was Norok that ended up posting it. And if I'm wrong on who posted it, please forgive me. But posted like 5 or 6 screenshots of the conversation with Mark Robert and Robert Fortson that we went over. So we know that some of this is the back and forth. We know that Fortson had comments about I have Apophis' channel. References to Crime Night. I mean, this is what I'm saying. This is like two social media people like talking to each other. References to Jeff Stankard, who was somebody who was being looked at and questioned in the case. Defense got girls' phone records. It's good stuff. So we know that that's one of the big things that they talk about that is supposedly from the leak is that they got the girls' phone records. Ellie declined to look at video footage of business by the Mears entrance. My personal dark horse is Jerome Weiss. Not even sure who that is. That name doesn't pop for me. It might pop for one of you guys. I'm a loner too. Y'all are the only people I interact with. My in real life friends think I've jumped off a cliff and I'm trying to grab their hands on my way down. I don't know anyone in real life that isn't. I don't know anybody in real life that's into true crime like I am. I think is the difference. My friends are like, yeah, I watch Dateline. I know. It's like, you get me. You get me. That name obviously means something to you. It doesn't even mean it's. Oh, I think it's pronounced Jeremy. Oh, it is. Okay. Yeah, he doesn't sound familiar to me. People go too far with fake book friends connections. Truth Finder as well. Yes. It's the redneck spelling. I don't know. His name doesn't sound familiar to me. May have Messer's phone too. Tried to give it to Holman, but he ghosted her, so she gave it to Andy. Well, we know that that's the Goldilocks phone that Todd Click ends up testifying to. So I just watched the BW YouTube, Brandon Woodhouse YouTube. I assume that is you on there. So this is the conversation that, Shiraz, I know, me too. This is the conversation where Brandon Woodhouse starts putting all the messages between him and Mark Cohen up. Well, I shouldn't say all, just a bunch of screenshots where he scribbles out some and doesn't scribble out others. Clutch just blamed the family for it. So Clutch is a channel I've never watched, but I heard about, and I actually only heard about it after apparently they took their channel down, but I had never seen it. So I have no comment on that channel or what they did or didn't say. Said Cody Patty would be taking the fall. Andy had audio of Professor. This is the opposite of what Sergeant Holman said. Professor said the opposite of what Holman said he said. Clutch believed that BG was a deep fake. Okay. We can all come together to geek over the minutiae of cases for people we'll never know. Yeah. I said he said. I know. That's confusing. So apparently this just goes back to that, they found the interview with Jeffrey Turco, and Turco says the opposite of what Holman said in his summary report, which we already know that that's the case. Judge going to set a suppression hearing, but Andy is looking for clarity. Okay, so that could be back from the June. The June hearing was supposed to be a suppression hearing, and then she ended up. That's when she said that she thought they might have to do a Franks. So maybe that's it. References the interview with Professor Turco. References Jennifer Scully. Does this name sound familiar to you guys? You drive, Ted? I'd have to fly. I don't know this name either. So some of these people are not, I don't know anything about them. Yeah, Jennifer Scully. Not at all. Jennifer, that's not you, Jennifer, right? Oh, Shiraz, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome all the new members. That was very kind of you. Malicious intent. Thierry, this is the appendix to Jennifer. Okay, no. Okay, well, that's why I was like, you're like, I didn't know if that was like a funny, like, I have no idea. This is the appendix to the post-hearing filing that was done by the defense. So it's essentially just going through the messages between Fortson and Cohen. I don't know why they didn't just have Mark Cohen go there and testify. Because there's so much context that's missing. We don't even know what they actually knew and didn't know. Let's book those tickets. Yeah, now, yeah, I know. So now the state is saying, or Holman is saying, that the defense is not repeating what Turco said. I'm like, just play the damn Turco tapes. Play the damn Turco tapes. That would make sense. I know. Well, I have a thought on that too. Shane Evans has Odin ties. Well, technically, yes. My thought on that is because if you remember, if you watched any of Brandon Woodhouse's stuff, Brandon Woodhouse and Shane Evans had some paternity issues, girlfriend issues. So I think that maybe that had to do with it because, Brandon Woodhouse was Odin. So, I mean, he does have ties to Odin, but I'm honestly at the point that I think everybody who lives there also has ties to Odin, whether they know they do or not. BGOJ. Ari's fun is going. Oh, wow. Hey, thanks. Oh, for the membership. Aw, thank you. Yeah, Woodhouse's stuff is gone too. And there was some, I mean, as some of the ramblings went on, like there was definitely some pieces of information that we were like, what? Huh? Yeah, the baby mama drama. Everyone's an Odinist. Like, I think that I think everybody's got ties to Odinism. Do you think at trial all these people have to testify? No, I don't. I know that's what Sleuthy says. She's like, I'm not even going to drive by Indiana. Okay, so anyway, so I don't know who that is, so I have no idea what that means. Screenshots, this is my assumption again, is screenshots that like of conversations, like I had a conversation with you, I screenshotted it and sent it to somebody else. So like either Fortson screenshotting his conversations and sending him to Cohen, or Cohen screenshotting his conversations and sending him to Fortson. Just screenshots. I like the delusion about how much a picture of KK is worth. Ha ha. Pictures of runes, Woodhouse sent that. Screenshot of Clutch's theory, then more Clutch stuff. Little Soothy's like, hell nah. Melissa's over here is like, go for it. So she and Kelsey both communicated with the Shots account. I believe that's Bree, in my opinion, because I do believe that this is actually something I believe. So I'm going to say it's Bree and Kelsey. Former mayor working for McClellan has Odinist ties. We've talked about that one. Asked who is Max S. That's Schnoberger. That's the friend of Abby and Libby, and he was on the CW, and he was one of the people who has stated that he was going to go. He was going to go to the bridge with them, but he didn't. Ties to Garrett Cruz. Some of these people I have no idea who they are, so I can't. Oh, this has got to be Garrett Kurtz. This has got to be Garrett Kurtz. That's what I think. Ties to Garrett Kurtz. Who has ties to Garrett Kurtz? I have no idea. Yes. Child molester Marcos Salinas got nudes of both. Communicated with 2 accounts from Klein's Dropbox. Now, I remember the theory about Marcos Salinas, and we talked about this when we very first came back to Delphi, the Delphi case. And I think everything about Marcos Salinas has been pretty much debunked, but I don't know what this has got nudes of, and I don't know if he has any connection to Klein. I don't know enough about him to answer that. That's the guy. Okay, Rachel Yancey. Libby wanted Max, and Max wanted Abby. And they're Facebook friends of Libby and Abby. Marco Salinas was tied to the KK Dropbox. Rocks at the CVS. Okay, this is actually from Facebook groups too. This is, you guys remember they were like doing all the coloring of like rocks and they were like hiding them. It was like a big thing. I think it was a big thing all over the country at the time. And I know that after Abby and Libby were killed, they were doing ones like in honor of Abby and Libby. And then they had like a whole Facebook group where you like for your area where you could go and find like the rocks, and then you'd post the picture of where you found the rock. Did you guys do that where you're from at all? I know we did it around here, not for Abby and Libby, but we did it around here. He finished his life. Who was live? Oh, the Marcos Salinas and the Dollar General store go hand in hand. You'll have to fill me in on that. Your state parks do it. We did that in Ohio. Not the geocaching, not the game where you log in and go find things. This was different. This was just people painting rocks, and they'd hide them, and it was like a you know what? I know I've got to have some photos of that somewhere. So you just take like a rock and you paint it, and they'd put like, in memory of Abby and Libby, and they would go hide it. And then other people, when they found it, you took a picture, you posted it in that Facebook group, and then you went and hid it somewhere else. So not like the geocaching where that was like an app that had like a treasure and you'd have to figure out the clues to go find it. It wasn't like that. It was different. These were just like randomly placed. They did like unicorn rocks, monster rocks, inspirational rocks, anything like that. So they did that with Abby and Libby, and they painted stuff about Abby and Libby on the rocks, and they went and hid them around. Well, the irony was there was rocks that were actually found at the CVS. At the CVS that he worked at. Now I'm going to see if I can find those photos, and I'll show them to you guys. And one of the girls, and I don't want to say which one because I don't remember. I'm not sure, but I want to say it was either Bree or Rayleigh, had actually either hidden the rock at CVS or found the rock at CVS. Because I am imagining people trying to carry huge lumps of rock down. No, like little stones, like little flat stones. You know what? Hold on. I have one that one of my very dear friends painted for me, and I'll show it to you. Hold on. So this is a big one, but it would be like this, but smaller. So like, I don't know if you guys can see that. This is a rock, and it was painted for criminality. So it'd be like a little small one, like this big, and then they go hide it somewhere. So no, because the rocks at the CVS that's what was found there, like garden stones. Yes. Oh shoot, just dropped that one. It was really big back then. Okay, so Salinas has tied Alan to CSAM according to Russ. I'm assuming Russ McQuaid, but I don't know. Who are these statements coming from? They are part of the court docs. Hi, Kay. Yes. It's very pretty, right? I know. She did a fantastic job. Like river rock size. This is the appendix to the filing that was put in today by the defense team for the post-hearing memo that they had a week to put in. It is still a thing. It's not as big out here as it was then. It was like really big. So anyway, you'd find it and you'd go put it somewhere else. But anyway, it was a big thing in Facebook groups because from the Rock Facebook group, people who were actually witnesses or there at the bridge that day were actually putting rocks and finding rocks, and then just by happenstance, probably because the town's not very big, they were hiding and finding them at the actual CVS that Richard Allen worked at. So that was a big thing in Facebook groups at one point. This I don't know. Salinas has tied according to Russ. I don't know what I don't I don't know if Alan was tied to CSAM according to Russ, or Salinas has tied Alan. This is possibly back when they were talking about that they thought that Marcos Salinas was the confidential informant. So references to Snowberger getting nudes, known scumbag. References from Hannah Rostel, an Elliot guy. Screenshot Keegan Klein. See, some of this stuff just doesn't make any sense because we have no idea what the hell they're talking about. We have no idea the context of this, and we have no idea what was actually said. So it's a very weird appendix to put out because I feel like it's just going to cause a lot of issues. Side by side of sketches. The defense never made such an exhibit. Side by side of sketches. Okay. References Joe Lewis as Jive. Shared with one other person, you only saw the crime scene. Hood up? Yes. Kelsey's boyfriend? Yes. So is Kelsey's boyfriend in a photo that was shared with his hood up? I don't know. I don't know. This is like reading a foreign language a little bit because I don't know. I'm just checking something real quick. Shared with one other person, you only one saw the crime scene. Hood up. Yes. Kelsey's boyfriend. Yes. Okay. Oh, flashback. See, I don't even know who that is. No idea who that is. And who an Elliot guy is. Don't know who that is either. Yeah. Hennessy out here dropping Easter eggs like the Easter Bunny. And I feel like people are going to be all over it. And then it's going to start like a whirlwind of shit, honestly, is how I feel. That's why I'm like, I want people to just take away, like, this is just a conversation between two guys who followed a case and then ended up having some information, but also have their own opinions. Yeah, that was one of the things, but I'm pretty sure that's all been debunked at this point. That was like something big in like the end of 2022, beginning 2023. But like I said, I don't even know who those people are. 555 was there around 11 to 11:30. I don't what the 555 was there around 11 to 11:30. No idea. Yeah, and it's according to Russ. So is that Russ McQuaid? Is that because he's a journalist? I don't know. I have no idea. Lots of references to different past theories, ideas. Yeah, that's why I'm like, if you're talking to me and I was like, yeah, I used to think it was Tobe, or I used to think it was Brad Weber, and then I started telling you all the reasons I thought that, then and that ended up in a court document. I don't even know I don't even know. It's ideas, yeah. Family in Delphi, the Rainies. Who has family in Delphi? Don't have any idea. Kelsey, Chase, and Bree lawyer up. And then I know that this has to be about Chase because Chase joined the Air Force and left town. Right. I wonder that, Kelly. I mean, it's weird that they asked for those three phones and then they asked for those three phones and they're looking for three phones that are unidentified. Maybe. You know what, just commenting? That is a very great point. If this is the types of conversations, this is literally the only evidence that there's a leak of information, and this is what that information that was quote unquote leaked is. I mean, that could be a really good point to be like, this is what you were counting on to show, like this conversation of these two dudes on social media is what you were using to show that there was a continuous leak. Because that was one thing they argued a lot in the courtroom, was that there was a continuous leak. The dog is snoring. I hope that you guys can't hear that. Me too, Fiend. Seems to me Salinas was attempting to get some reward money. Maybe. I don't wonder how many people turned in tips that they just were hoping that, hey, maybe it would work. And they would get the reward money because it's a lot of money. Bree's account, listen to what she says. Okay. Brandon Woodhouse stuff, give you more cover. This, I think, has to do with the F tree, in my opinion. Banned me in J for J because of Patch's converse. This is Fortson, I believe. And if the admin of the group is still here, she would probably be able to clarify it. But I think this is the Journey for Justice group. We typically just refer to it like as the Journey group because of Patch's conversation with ND Clown. I think he got kicked out of the group because he was arguing about the patches. When I was looking back through all the people, like the Mark Cohen's comments or Robert Fortson's comments to see what I ever, if we could find anything. I remember there being something about Robert Fort or Kyle Fortson arguing in the Journey group with somebody about the patches. Driving home thinking supposed to go to Franklin this weekend. Okay. Want Nick to stop hiding shit. Don't we all? Want people to stop running their mouths over shit they don't know. I'm telling you, this is like just sounds like we're just talking to each other. The picture of the F tree. So that's why I think that had that to do with that. Posts screen, not mine. Post screen, not mine. Kel, this list is from the messages between Fortson and Cohen. And it's obviously cherry picked. These are not full conversations. We're not actually seeing the back and forth. Huddleston's? I don't think so. I don't remember that name being mentioned. Post screen time, not mine. Snay's going to be mad at you. I'll go visit him and smarten him up. Journey banned me for no reason. Banned from posting facts. It is the Journey group. But who wrote this out? Hennessy's team wrote this. This is the appendix that goes along with Hennessy's post-hearing memo. I don't understand why he added this at all. I really don't. But I mean, just commenting had a good point. Like, if this is what they're using as this continuous leak evidence, this is just a bunch of mumbo jumbo mixed in with what appears to be some factual things. But we know some of this is not. Why do we care about that? Like, why do we care if Snay's going to be mad at him? And which one? We don't even know. There's no context. There's no nothing. I feel like this document is going to just cause problems, to be honest. A reference to Barbara. Picture of F tree has full picture with evidence label. This goes along with what was said was that Barbara McDonald was on court TV and was putting out this F tree description, and it was not accurate. And so they wanted to put the F tree out to show people the truth. Yes, that's the best description of it. I don't know. All I see is proof these guys were pretty boring. I know, right? I don't think they reference any type of certain conversation at all. I think it's just a straight, weird, oddly structured list. I'll put it that way. Oh, this document's entire purpose is to cause problems. Okay. Want to clear up the false information. Abby's grandma said thanks. No idea. Screenshot of a screenshot printed on paper, then cropped. 3/20/18 stuff. What? Screenshot of a screenshot printed on paper, then cropped. 3/20/18 stuff. Yeah. References Woodhouse video. References Chastity Jarrell. Don't know who that is. That's the most sensical sentence I know. So I'm like, hey, maybe that's actually interesting. Yes, this is what MS brought to Holman. Yes. And this was McClelland's entire case about contempt, is this conversation that we don't get to see in its entirety. But I mean, I don't know. I can't get past what just commenting, like maybe it is just to show like how stupid this conversation was and why was he using this as evidence. I don't know who this is. Message from Holman where he contacts Woodhouse. Got more coming. This one's funny. Told no rocks about everything. Elvis Fields duped by Mike Thomas. Told no rocks about everything. Elvis Fields duped. Mike Thomas had nothing to do with Elvis Fields. Is this in one of the screenshots that was actually posted by Norrock? Because this sounds familiar. This is told Norrock everything. Yeah, so no rock. Yeah, no rocks is Norrock from Reddit. I'm gonna double check because I think that this might have been one of the ones that he ended up actually posting on Reddit. And I think it says that Fortson was being duped by Mike Thomas. And not Elvis Fields was duped by Mike Thomas. I think it says Fortson was being duped by Mike Thomas. So that's interesting. He's going to be with Andy tonight. Okay, this is one that he was talking about in his actual filing. He doesn't actually say who's he. Talking about me going down Saturday. You and Brandon and these guys. Another source is Kelsey. References Doug Rice, Jerica, and Anna Evans. Well, I know those are Facebook people, so I'm going to assume that is also another Facebook person. I don't recognize that name. Riley told Mary, which is her mom, that the person in the picture looked like Jimmy Duvall. Drake French. This is not Drake. This is actually Greg. Well, maybe it's Drake. Maybe there's more than one. But that's what we read. We read this when we went over Doug Rice's stuff. But in that, it was Greg French, not Drake. So I don't know. Maybe there's another French. Oh, God. This is just, like, painful. I don't even know. They are implying the leak. We're almost done. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. They are implying the leak of photos of the bodies. Okay. This is... I know what this is. And this I actually have handy because it's over here. If it'll load. Nothing wants to load right now, so I guess we won't worry about that. This is Matt Sullivan had posted in his Facebook group that crime scene photos had come out and that not to share them because they would not be accepted in the group. That screenshot of what Matt Sullivan had said in his group was sent to Fortson. And now they're talking about the screenshot. They are implying the leak of photos of the bodies. I don't know. Someone sent them to me. Not sure what Matt is implying. Did someone tell him they saw them? Did someone show someone else? I just don't know. Yeah, these are not Lana notes for sure. Hey, Percocent. Mike Thomas. Mike Thomas is the gentleman that was running for sheriff against Liggett. And then filed his lawsuit. Pig pen from Peanuts. Crap everywhere. Spaghetti all over the wall. Yeah, this is just... it's very hodgepodge, so I don't know. Did someone tell him they saw it? Yeah, so then my wife just left me. Mark, talk to me, please. This is after the photos This is after Matt Sullivan had posted in the group, and then when Rick Snay posts on his YouTube channel on the community wall that he did have the photos after Rebecca Lynn Dunaway somehow knew that he had the photos, which still doesn't make sense. Sketches confidential, rather not from me, assume under gag order, shared with one other, you are only one saw crime scene hood up. This is, I don't know what this even means. Crime scene hood up? This is the second time this was somewhat referenced, but the last time it was referenced with Bree's brother, Chase, Kelsey's boyfriend. You are only one saw crime scene hood up. Nick drunk at bar? Oh, gosh. Nick drunk at bar. My cousin was there. Derek. Nick said Cody Patty should be worried. Hood up photo is interesting idea. What about sticks? That is the only bit of info so far. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. All eyes on it. People should not believe the claim of misfiling RA's statement. FBI Lafayette refuted that claim. It's a CCSD lie. They have known of RA from day one, only chose him when they ran out of options. Yeah, I got you. That's because it's an appendix and we don't have the actual exhibits. Right. So it's just, there's so context of, we have no idea. I have no idea. Okay, so apparently somebody's cousin's at the bar, Nick's drunk, and Nick told them that Cody Patty should be worried. No idea if that's true. I know he does blow too. Fucking Nick's probably just so pissed about these conversations that he's like, I'm gonna hold everybody in contempt. Oh, you know what? I probably shouldn't say that. You know, I just was saying, like, I don't know why they didn't ask, like, why didn't they have Mark come testify? Why didn't they subpoena him? Because my whole thing was, I don't understand how that even gets in anyway, when it's all hearsay. There's nobody there to testify. You have one person who's no longer alive, and then you have the other person who's, you just don't even subpoena him. But I guess if Mark testified, then he would be able to talk about things like this. Because we don't know if this is, we don't know who is making the comment here. We don't know if this is Mark's comment or Fortson's comment. But if Mark was testifying, then they'd be like, so, Mark, were you under the impression that Nick McClelland did blow? Was it did your cousin tell you that he was at a bar? I don't know if this is Fortson or Cohen, so I can't answer that. But could you imagine like that being like that person, like Mark being on the stand and they're like, so, you were aware that Nick McClelland does blow? And Nick's like, I'm not subpoenaing him. I'm not sending that guy a subpoena so he can come here and say I do blow. I do not know that to be true. I do not know either of those things to be true. I'm not sitting here saying that Nick McClelland does blow. I'm just reading it. Are you going to release it? I can't. It is obvious pictures of this stuff and not originals. It is obvious pictures of this stuff and not originals. BG was Carl Abbott. A series of pictures not related to the defense. Okay. So maybe they're personal photos that they're like, you know, we're not going to put that. I know he's so petty. He's like, I want to make sure that the world, maybe that's like the whole point of the document is so he can put stuff like that in there. BG is Carl Abbott. Carl Abbott was actually the gentleman who owned the mortuary in Delphi. He's actually he's related to the Mears, and Carl and his daughter were at the bridge that day. So BG was Carl Abbott. The series of pictures not related to the defense. So there you have it. That's the end of that one. Nothing else came out today, right? I think I got everything from today. Let me just double check and make sure nothing popped up when we were live. Shoot. It like logged me out. The appendix and the post-hearing memorandum. Okay. So next we should be seeing Carl's wife was arrested for sexual abuse of a minor. Yes. This exhibit is the defenses. Carol, I could not make a diagram of this if I don't. It would just be all over. I don't even know what's connected to what. I have no idea. This is all over the place. This is like, that's not like if somebody just took screenshots of my conversation that I had like with one of my friends and just put it into an exhibit. No, that shit is not going to make sense to people. I'll tell you that right now. So next we should be expecting the post-hearing memo from Nick McClelland. We should also be expecting the response on the defendant's response on the discovery. This one, we should get their next one in line for the amended motion to compel and request for sanctions. So we should be seeing something about that. That's really what we should be kind of, I mean, then whatever else they decide they want to throw out there. And there may be some rulings on the motion to dismiss. I don't think we're going to see one on the contempt for quite a while. And who is Carl Abbott? Carl Abbott, you probably typed that because freaking StreamYard's slow. So Carl Abbott is the owner of the mortuary in town, and he is the son of one of the Mears kids. So she passed away. Sherry, I think her name was Sherry Mears. So, goodness gracious. Yeah. If it's the contents of my brain draining out over the last 7 years. That's why I was like, yeah, I don't know. Oh, I blow, not he blows. No, yeah, he does actual blow. Well, no, I'm not saying that he does. I want to make sure I'm not saying he does blow, but just reading the statement that he does. So we await Nick McClelland's reply by next week, and his summary of the hearing. That's what we know is coming for now. Yeah, plus the defense's response to the motion to compel. The response to their response, I should say. This is worse than the weenie roast. I don't know. Yeah. You know, let me see. Let me see if I have. Where did I put those? Where would I put those, you guys? The screenshots. Let me stop this real quick. And let me see if I can find the screenshots that Norok had posted. Let me see. Nope. I don't know where I put them, though. Did you know PW was charged with domestic battery with bodily injury to a person under 14 years old on June? I believe it was his child. I shouldn't say that out loud because I don't know that to be true, but I was under the impression I think that was one of his kids. I missed the waivers. Let me have the blow. I don't know what I did with those. That kind of sucks. I'm telling you, like, half my life is organized and then half my life is just fucking chaos. And it just depends on what moment you catch me. Let me see if they're just sitting in here somewhere. That's the Reddit stuff. Because he posted like 5 screenshots on Reddit. Oh, maybe I put it in here. Let me see. I'm just searching. Give me a second, you guys. I'm not looking at chat, FYI. Let's see if this is it. That's the implying the leak of the photos of the bodies. Not sure what Matt is implying. Nope, that's not them. I don't know. I'll have to find them then. They're definitely not in where I would think I would have put them. All right. Okay, who mentioned the defense asking if Holder was asked about using his oldest son's car? That was who was asked about it? I think that was... was that Mullen when Mullen was on the stand, or was that when Holman was on the stand? They asked him if he had ever... I think it might have been when Mullen was on the stand. Somebody with their memory still intact after 3 hours can probably describe it better than me. But I think it was one of them. They asked him if Brad Holder was ever asked if he switched cars with his oldest son that day. Abby with hood up was from Erskine's false texts. But why would they be talking about seeing it? Anybody else here that Amber Holder has said that Messer said he was visiting friends up there and used her car and there was blood in it? No, so that wasn't Amber Holder. That was Taylor Hornaday, Johnny Messer's ex. Have we all seen Holder's newest Facebook? Further evidence the other was deleted to get rid of evidence. He didn't want anybody looking at it. I think people were probably commenting all over it too. Yeah, so Taylor said that. That's actually written in the Frank's memo. Baldwin asked that. Do you remember who he asked it to, though, Fiend? Oh, well, never mind. It would have to be Mullen then, right? Or Click. He could have asked Click, I guess. Because I remember they were talking about the differences. He was questioning Click about the differences in the interview from 2017 to the interview in 2023. Anybody remember the Kelsey comment, something like maybe the killer wasn't himself at the moment? I don't know. There's a comment that I was looking for that she said something like, if he is who we think he is, then I'm safe, or something like that. It was a weird statement, which is not uncommon. His oldest son's car could explain what body parts, bits, and due to mortician training. His oldest son's car could. Are you talking about? So it was supposedly about Brad Holder using Levi Holder's car that day. This ties back to Gabe and Kokomo Crew was already seen before he deleted it. Yes, and the Sandifers. Bless you, puppy. No one's talking about his new Facebook. You could find that in the video I posted of clips from her debunking video. Who dis? Okay, hold on a second. I can find. Is this to me? Oh, I can find. Yes, that's the video. Okay, what I was looking for. I can find that in the video I posted of clips from her debunking video. Thank you. Because yeah, it was a weird comment, like something like, yeah, if he is who I think he is, then I'm safe or something. But I want to make sure I know the exact quote. Holder's oldest went to mortuary school. Yes, he did. He did. It was rumored that he was actually working at the Abbott Funeral Home as an intern. I can only find that he was actually working at a different location as an intern, but if anybody else finds that he was working at Abbott Funeral Home, then let me know. Was Kelsey talking about Elvis? Sure, she sure wasn't talking about Richard Allen. Yeah, I don't know. No, I recorded it live and only had a few clips to put together. Thank you, Hudis. Heard it with my own ears. I don't remember. I just remember the comment, and I remember like my ear going, what? I just learned today about NM saying in the PCA that the Farm Bureau wasn't in the area in 2014. Such a lie. I've personally been there, and it's literally next door to where it was before. The only problem I have with that, Susan, is that Richard Allen refers to that he parked by the old Farm Bureau building. Now, he couldn't have parked by the old Farm Bureau building because it didn't exist. The old Farm Bureau building, say that 10 times fast, try that, was now a parking lot next to the new Farm Bureau building. So would he not have said, I parked next to the new Farm Bureau building? That's my biggest issue with that. I do think he parked next to the CPS lot, no matter what time you think he was there. I do think he either parked there or he parked in the parking lot on the other side of Freedom Bridge. I might have missed it, but has T seen the Hennessy? It's not a GoFundMe, but yeah, I did. I put that in the. Let me grab it again. I know Shmita was dropping it. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Let me grab the link for it. And like I said, this is a personal decision on whether you choose to donate or not. His mom's Facebook is full of photos of him in the funeral home. Yeah, he's a mortician. And also Cheyenne's a mortician. So like it's weird that how many people became morticians in this whole thing. Remember Kelsey saying, if it's who I think it is, then I'm not afraid of him. Yeah. Maybe been talking about Chase. You can play that video of mine if you want. Okay, perfect. Let me go grab it really quick. Sorry, I got way behind on comments. Kroger Funeral Home. Wilbur. That's Chase's Bree's brother. Thank you, Suki. I ran with quickness to donate as soon as they verified it with Henny. Oh my God, I just looked at the time. You are all bad influences on me. I take no responsibility for my own actions. Okay, let me go grab that really quick. Hold, please. Okay, let me see. Oh, damn, that tickled a little when she scrolled through my videos. It was one of Gray's interviews with her. It wasn't a big deal until people ran with it. Okay, let me go back in here. Let me go back and hear it. Okay, which one? Which one? Which one? Which one? This one. Ah!
To be more emotional. So I wrote this story my freshman year to get an A+. I did really well on it. I did really well on that project. And yeah, so that's definitely something that was about someone else. Has nothing to do with me, but I'm really glad that everybody liked it so much that they're sharing it all over, because majoring and triple minoring in school now, I have no time. No time for babies. The closest thing that I have is Oliver, and that's enough. I can feed and water him and play with him and rub his belly, and it's good. But a baby, absolutely not. A husband would be worse than a baby, so absolutely not.
She goes and gets herself one of each.
No babies for like. Yeah, I feel safe. Listen, if he was the person he is, he's not gonna come after me.
All right, there it is. If he is the person he is, he's not going to come after me. Cindy, you're not on ignore. I see you, honey. All right, let me go back.
Yeah, I feel safe. Listen, if he was the person he is, he's not gonna come after me. I can take very good care of myself. Also, my boyfriend's not as scared of him.
I don't know. That was just a weird comment. If he is who he is, he's not going to come after me, and I can take care of myself. Like maybe she's thinking, like, you know, I can defend myself now because I know what these, you know, I'm more prepared. So he'd be stupid to come after me. But thank you, Hudas, for letting me play that, because I'm like, I know I remember it, but I don't know. I mean, there's just sometimes there's just awkward shit that gets said. Wasn't hard to find the access to evil in my country. All live at borders per darkness and iron. What are you talking about, Johnny? What? How did she call about like he took out my sister? That's why I said like maybe she's just thinking like, you know what? Now I'm carrying or something, you know, and he'd be stupid to come after me. That makes you wonder why Kelsey didn't go to the trails earlier. Origin would probably have accidentally posted a pic of my own feet. I don't know. It was just an odd statement that I remember like sticking out in my brain. Like what? How you know? If it is who it is, he's not going to come after me. If he is who he is. And then the whole thing with her phone information, that should just be a very easy thing to verify. Hopefully they find that they do actually have it, or you know, all of theirs, because there should be no reason they don't. She's the last proof of life, and then you have the searches. I think that's extremely important. I don't have time. A lot of odd statements. Yep. 2 different stories on where Cody was on the 13th. I thought that there was more than that, but maybe only 2. I don't have enough time. Yeah, well, they were all at the trails earlier. They have our girls. Yeah, I've still never been able to find that clip. I've not been able to find that clip where, and supposedly it happens in 2 different like places. One's like on the news, and the other one is like when they're just filming like around the fire station. And you can hear her telling Mike that in the background, I guess. I cannot find that. Yeah, also my boyfriend's not afraid of him. She's talking about BG. Like she feels safe. If he is what he is into children, he's not going to come after me. An adult. Let me see. Let's go back and listen to it again.
Also, my boyfriend's not as scared of him. I can take. He was. Yeah, I feel safe. Listen, if he was the person he is, he's not gonna come after me. I can take very good care of myself. Also, my boyfriend's not as scared of him.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, maybe
Listen,
if he's
he was the person he is, he's not gonna come after me.
if he was the person he is, if he was the person he is, he's not going to come after me. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe she spends too much time with Doug Carter. That's my only other guess. Is that he's rubbed off on her, and like she's like the Robin to his Batman, yet like the mini Riddler to the big Riddler. So, or maybe she just doesn't want to feel weak. She doesn't want to sound like she's weak, and she doesn't want to sound like she's afraid. I could sit here and guess all night, but thank you, Hootis, for telling me where to find that, because I'm like, I know it's out there somewhere. All right. I am going to wrap this up. We've been on for 3.5 hours. We are completely caught up with Delphi documents as of today. Who knows what tomorrow brings? Who knows what tomorrow brings? Hopefully, maybe we'll get a couple quiet days and we can start digging into the other cases. I literally check under my car, check in my back seat, and open my hatchback to check in when I get in my car. I do too. I check everything. And I still don't sleep with any limbs hanging off of my bed. I'll just be honest with you. I don't. Cannot sleep with any limbs hanging off of my bed because I don't know what's underneath there. So. All right, everybody. Thank you guys for being here. Like I always say, I absolutely appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out with me and giving two damns about what I have to say about anything. I appreciate your time. I know that you have 1,000 other places that you could be, and you choose to spend your time here hanging out with me. And I am humbled by that. I truly, truly am. Go enjoy the rest of your Monday. We will be back mañana, and we'll figure out what the topic is come tomorrow. Have a good one.
Do you dare to follow me down? Head into the unknown, down the rabbit hole, where it stops, no